Welcome, welcome, Evito, to today's stream. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, Snowdrop, welcome. You are always there so fast. It's insane. Are you waiting for me? Crazy. Welcome, welcome. I hope you had a nice day so far. Welcome, Rising Reap. Let's play some PvP. Hopefully not too bad. The morning PvP queues are always like completely one-sided, but hopefully it's a little bit entertaining as well. And after that we will do our usual stuff and just have some fun and debate what is coming up. You know, are you hyped? I'm actually quite excited, but are you as well? That's the question. Because I feel like the last couple of weeks, maybe 2 weeks, Guild Wars 2 has been in a very interesting state. That we didn't get any new things in game, but the community is way more positive than before at least. And that's a good thing, isn't it? So let's hope they actually provide enough stuff with the next expansion, with the announcement on Tuesday, that we continue to be hyped. Yeah. I'm trying to get Electric Wyvern, but Dragon's Den map is so dead. So Dragon's Den, the problem there is that you have to go and do it with the meta event. And the meta event is always happening to the same hour, or let's say every even hour or every uneven hour. And if you don't go in then you have no chance of getting there. If you want to do it, then I think typically at prime time there should actually be people running Dragon's Den. Let's check if there's actually someone running right now. But of course it has to be up. Yeah, right now it's way too early. But if you run it like in maybe like 10 hours, I think it's actually quite possible that people are playing it. It's actually not too bad to find a group. But of course you have to play to a time where other people are playing a lot as well. So that's the problem. And then if you actually get it, then a map, just get any map, any commander that actually does it. It's not a big deal. You will get there in the end and get it. But of course, if you don't play then it's a little bit harsh, I agree. Yeah, sorry, I can't give you more tips there. I'm still up, gonna go to bed now, watch the stream. Nice, that's what we like to hear. Dedication until you fall asleep. Yeah, I mean, whatever you like, whatever you like. That are real gamer hours to stay awake so long. Yes, very good. Welcome, Sylvester, welcome, welcome. Yeah, that's the classic, you know, you queue, then you get a map, max, how is it called, the match pop, like after 2 minutes, and then someone doesn't accept it, and then you wait another 5 minutes. It's actually insane how long the queues are. I think, was it yesterday or something? I had a queue that was like 7 minutes long, and I was not even playing at 2 AM or something. It was like, I think it was in my lunch break or something. It was insane. It was actually, I don't even know. It's really PvP is sometimes feels so incredibly no one plays. At least at my elo, no one plays. It's crazy. It's really sad. And then I get a match after 7 minutes that is over after like 5 because it's a stomp in one way or the other. It's crazy. It's really sad because I really enjoy the game mode. I talked to this in a comment of a viewer. Someone said PvP is so amazing in Guild Wars 2. Why do you not make more PvP content? And the answer is, it's just no one is interested. Then, like, there are 10 people that are actually interested in playing PvP really hard and going try hard and stuff. And that's so sad because the game mode is so good. You know, it's so exciting to play and getting better at it, in my opinion. But if no one is actually there to train with, then there is no real like reason to try to get better. That's the sad part here. That's why I'm playing so much PvE right now, because in PvE you don't have that problem. In PvE there are so many people around. You can get better even with like worse people than you, just getting better and having fun and find people to do stuff with. So I really hope that the next expansion, maybe the push event that will come out in August, early August, will bring back more attention to PvP again, and we get actually some exciting just revival of it. That would be amazing. Yeah, let's see what we can do today. Maybe we have some more hype coming up with another teaser reveal, icon reveal later tonight. Will be exciting because I think we are actually pretty much like sure that we will get either Elementalist, Engineer or Guardian. One of those 3 we already know, but 2 we probably don't. So it will be quite exciting to see what we get for those, because they are obviously fan favorites, and yeah, it's not really clear what we can expect them. trying to understand why I can't get any higher DPS on my attempt. I keep maximizing out at 18k, 22k, max trying to get at a stable 25k at least. I'm watching so many videos and stuff, and people get easily 35k. I'm like, yeah, the problem is that I will list all the stuff that could cause the issue here. That doesn't mean that you have all of that stuff happening. Probably only one of the things will happen. So I will list all of that, and you can check if that's actually the case for you. So first of all, you have to have the same gear. If you have full ascended gear, you get the maximum damage number. You don't need to have infusions. Infusions are not that much of a difference, like 1 to 3%, I would say. So then you have to have food. And when you are testing that on the golem, that's the thing that you can compare. So you have to test it between the golem. And that means if you test it on golem with the vulnerability to 25 max, that's the important part. And of course, you're fully booned up with might, fury, quickness, alacrity, everything. And then you do the rotation. Let's say you do the rotation perfectly, then you should reach the same number. What can be an issue why you would, for example, not reach the same number? Typically, people try to do the rotation correctly. So let's say my rotation here on the spear would be 5 into 4 into 2 into 3. If I do this rotation, 5 into 4 into 2 into 3. Yes, I did the rotation correctly, but the speed at which I did it was way too low. I could have done it in this double amount of speed. So the important part is always that you actually have no downtime between casting your skills. So you can always cast skills and queue up the next skill, and then you will have no downtime and instantly cast it. Stuff like that is really important because that means that you actually get the high damage number. If you interrupt your attacks by, for example, casting your healing skill while you cast something else, it goes on cooldown. That means that you interrupted the attack while still having a cast in the beginning of 1 second or something. So you lost 1 second again. Stuff like that is really important. So I would say, even with the correct gear, getting the rotation correct, interrupting aftercast, some attacks have an aftercast. So for example, this attack has an aftercast. If I cast it, I will stop being rooted in place after a second or so. I can negate it by weapon swapping, for example. Stuff like that, if you know tricks like that, that can actually help you to get a better damage number. But that will just come with time, and you have to train a bit more. That's the most important thing. Yeah, hopefully I could help you a bit there. Yeah, that's exactly like Bone Skinner. It's the same. But I think yesterday or someone, I was not the healer, and we wiped that Bone Skinner once. And I was like, people, please just heal, just please, a little bit. And then the second time we wiped again, and then we just they decided, let's go 3 healers. And that solved the issue, but the underlying issue was not solved. So, yeah, I guess there's that. Oh my god, the Condi spike. So, let's try to get the match here going. This is a good target, to be honest. Oh my god, was that a Power Reaper? I think that was a Power Reaper. Yeah, how did we lose the whole map and I died? There are 5 people here now, that's not good. 4 people. So sad. Thanks for the follow, Garek. Really appreciate it. Yeah, classic stomp in one direction, yeah, sadly. We have to get a kill here, to be honest. Otherwise, we will never get out of the situation, sadly. Get the kill here, please, guys. Turn, 3, 2, 1. Interrupt. Come on, guys. Yeah, that's unwinnable now. Sad. So sad. I tried my best, but what can you do? That's just PvP in a nutshell. You queue up and the matches. Maybe I get a safe res here. No, this guy is aware. Don't even try then. Yeah, what can I say? Let's go to PvE after that. Classic. Play 1 match for the dailies and then go to PvE. Maybe, nah. I don't want to hype it up anyway. It's not like... This guy's dead. At least we got another kill. Don't run into 2 people. Oh my god, the condis. They lost in a 2v2. Good. I will go for a decap, I guess, and go for the bell. You know, just checking. Yeah, that's sad. That's the counter, by the way. If you play Willbender or if you play against the Willbender, 2 really good spec against Willbender is Power Virtuoso and Power Herald. They are not played that often, but if you encounter them, they are like, if they're good, they always target you and you have no chance of winning that matchup. They are too like power aggressive on you and you can't kill them if they play it correctly. That's the sad part. Or not as easy. Oh my god, the well as well. Nice, we got the kill. We got the rally of them. Nice. Very good. Yeah, I don't know. This is like not looking even close to winnable, to be honest. Thanks, Havoc, for the Prime. Really appreciate the support. Thanks a lot. Yeah, as always, if you have any comments, any questions, please let me know. I'm always happy to answer them. And I'm sorry that I can't show the map chat here, but it's like, you know, there is content in the map chat. Let me tell you that. It's insane. There is, yeah, they are debating how much they will lose and why and who's the reason for that. So, yeah, it's a classic. And it's really good. Yeah, PvP map chat is pretty toxic. Yeah, the problem is that it's like the combination of the competitive mindset that people have in PvP. Obviously, it's a PvP game mode, so that means that you want to win. Yeah, I can understand that. But then the problem is that there is not that many, like the amount of players playing is quite low. And that's the problem. So that you have bad matchmaking coming together with a somewhat toxic mindset. And then you have almost always in map chat some really annoying conversations. I mean, I'm pretty high rated, you know. It's sure that I will lose some matches and I can't win them. That's true, you know. But yeah, what can I say? That happens. They are really offending themselves. It's not good. We don't want to see that, to be honest. I mean, how much did I lose for that one? If I lose more than 15, I'm sad, actually. Okay, that's okay. What's your rank in PvP? So, yeah, like I showed, my rank is like now 1564, and I have like a pretty much around 66% win rate, something like that. And I'm just solo queuing, so I'm not the best player, but I'm not bad either. Yeah, so that's just, yeah. I recently started PvP and it's a lot of fun as World vs. World. Guild Wars 2's combat system really thrives in PvP. It almost seems to me that it was designed for PvP. It was. It really was designed for PvP. But the problem is that the community decided, or the player base was too casual for that and was never really interested to play a lot of that game mode. And over the years, the developers decided, so to say, nah, it's not the correct, like, the real game mode that we want to focus on. It's not that they don't use it anymore, they don't develop anything for it anymore, that's not true, but they are not really like dedicated to providing a lot of content for it. They are really way more dedicated to providing maps for the casual players, providing stuff like that, and even that is not the highest amount that we got before. So yeah, that's just sad, but that's how it goes. Let's tune out the graphics a bit again. Yeah, exactly. I think when Guild Wars 2 launched, the game itself was designed in a way that you used PvE to level 80. And as soon as you reached level 80, there was no real end game. The end game was only world versus world and PvP. That was the end game. That was the whole design of Guild Wars 2. And I would say in the early days, it actually was surprisingly decently working. A lot of people were engaging with world versus world, and PvP was not as good as it was now, but people played it. And over the years, they decided the game is more casual, or the player base. And that means that they just didn't develop too much more stuff for PvP, especially, but also for world versus world. So that's just how the time went, sadly. Yeah. Is this one of the most played MMOs? It is. It is. Welcome, Romingsbird. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, PvP was supposed to be the end game of Guild Wars 2 at some point, yeah? In the beginning, for sure. So, Scorpion, the Guild Wars 2, I would say, is in the top 5, maybe the top 10. One of those two, definitely, of most played MMOs, for sure. I would actually argue it's in the top 5, in the most played, but not in the most, like, publicly known ones. So, for example, on stream, in Twitch, on YouTube, and all that stuff, it's not as, like, popular as other MMOs, even though the player bases might actually be higher, if you compare them. I'm not so sure if the alliances will ever come out. I think alliances will never come out again. That's just like, that's the sad thing here. But I mean, at this point, you know, I enjoy everything that we get, and I think the current world versus world iteration is, yeah, not the best for everyone, but I think it at least has some community behind it. That's good enough for me. Welcome, Winslow. Welcome, welcome. I remember the first time I saw Twilight in Old Lion's Arch, knew that was the end game then. Now I have an almost full armory. Yeah, exactly. Back then the end game was really like grinding PvE to get the legendaries, a lot of dungeons back then of course, and getting like just the best skins of course, that was always an end game. But in terms of end game content like fractals, dungeons, raids, all that stuff didn't exist. It didn't exist. I mean, dungeons did exist, but I mean not in a way that you had level 80 content. That was just not there at the beginning. And so they just over time developed new endgame PvE stuff and abandoned, so to say, PvP and world versus world as the true endgame of Guild Wars 2. You can say that's for the better or for worse. In either way, that's how it went. Yeah, for sure. Alliances destroyed world versus world for me as a roamer or a small scale player. Yeah, I think as a roamer, if the problem is that alliances were really like designed, or the rework of how the system works was really designed in a way that Zerg players and just a lot of like big fights, that's how it was designed. Roamers and small scale was not really anticipated to be that important, and that's a sad part, because I think a lot of casual players typically engage with that to some extent as well, and just want to join and get a commander take up as well. And both of those things don't really happen all the time in the current system if you're not on the correct server. And that's a sad part, because you don't know which server is correct for you and you can't really join it up. That's the problem. Yeah, I think the alliances can be, yeah, quite negative for some people, yeah, for sure. Sure, Burst, just ask whatever you have on your mind. Alliances would suck anyway. What we need is a beehive mastery for world versus world. Why do you always bring that up? Is that such important to you? I'm a fresh level 80 and I got 200 gold. I really want to buy some cosmetics because I have no idea what to spend them on. I mean, Guild Wars 2, as soon as you reach level 80, is a game where you have to set your own goals. So if you want to get some cool cosmetic skins that you enjoy, sure, get them. Just saying, you might regret it later if you buy a skin now, then in 2 weeks time you don't like the skin anymore and you have still like wasted the gold for that. So just make sure that you actually enjoyed it, what you spend it on. You can always refarm the gold. That's the good thing. But keep in mind, like, gold is a resource that you use for almost everything that you want to get. If you go for legendaries, if you go for ascended gear, almost everything requires to some extent some gold. So always think about that first. But if you currently want a skin, sure, go for it. Don't worry about it. Currently I can't roam, even when I stand at the dual spot for hours to have a good fight, the whole 50-man Zerg just chasing me across the half the map. Yeah, that sounds horrible. I mean, I hadn't had that problem particular, but I had the problem that I just like got farmed by like 5 people while I was trying to capture a camp. that was just a little bit sad, to be honest. But I mean, let's do that, I guess. Let's play some DPS. I never play DPS on stream, so let's go for that. Let's go for that. Yeah, let's play. It's the only content that it brings you joy. I mean, then hopefully we get some more for you. That and fish gaming, yes, exactly. Why is it so hard to find Friday, Sunday static? I have no clue. To be honest, I think if you're looking for a static in Guild Wars 2 for raiding and specific, I think like half, no, probably more. Like 80% of the community statics are doing it on Monday. Because on Monday is the reset, everyone wants to get it as fast as possible. Do we like have other statics as well? Sure. But you have to always look for it. And like having Friday, Sunday statics is probably not that realistic because a lot of people on Friday, when they still play the game on Friday, they typically want to go for the reset in World vs. World, maybe. That's some kind of big event. But I don't really know. I have never looked in the last few years for a static, so I can't tell you that much. But just keep looking, I guess. That's my only tip there. Yeah. But yeah, what can I say? It's just Guild Wars 2, at least the endgame PvE, I have the feeling that the LFG that you use is okay. You know, you get some strikes, you get some raid, but a lot of the players that are somewhat tryhard are in statics and in their own bubble. And that's a problem in that sense, because that actually creates a scenario where people feel like it's not as alive as it should or as it really is, because they are just not seeing the other interactions with it. And that's especially true for raids, in my opinion. But even for strike missions, like strike mission CMs and stuff, you typically don't see that many pucks doing it, even though there are people doing it quite regularly. Most of them are in a static. So I really hope that we get some LFG rework with the next expansion, which they teased there will be a core feature rework. Because then maybe we get some way of making strikes raids more rewarding and the LFG gets better. I think that could revive the pucking scene a bit in that sense, because I really feel like if I don't take up for my stuff, the chances of finding a group that is actually doing the stuff that I want to get into is pretty slim, which is a little bit sad, for sure. So I've been looking at your open world renegade build. What are your thoughts on replacing Sigil of Frailty on X with a Sigil that deals Condi damage, Earth Doom? I feel like it's better for smaller mobs because damage takes time to ramp up before vulnerability can shine. Yes. So that is a very common debate that I have with people that are really like wanting to min-max builds in open world. Frailty Sigil is one of the best sigils in a specific scenario. Frailty Sigil is providing vulnerability to the target, and if you have expertise, it's actually stacking up very highly, but only under one condition. If you hit the boss or whatever you're hitting consistently for over like 10 to 30 seconds, then it's really like very good and consistent, high vulnerability uptime. But if you have a fight that is over faster, if you have like mobs that you want to kill and not a specific boss, then it is surprisingly ineffective, obviously. So that means that easily you can replace it with Earth, Doom, whatever you want. That provides instant value, 100%, I'm with you there. But my builds are, like, so to say, optimized for soloing open world stuff, like bounties, like hero points, where you typically fight one boss. That's why I put Frailty Sigil on there. But you can easily replace that, for example, with Doom or Earth, if you fight often like some kind of smaller mobs, 100%. And another scenario that is also important in my opinion is sometimes in open world, especially if you play to prime time, that I noticed that a lot when I try to record and do a solo of an open world bounty and stuff, it's actually somewhat challenging sometimes to actually get fights where I really am alone and not someone else is joining me as well. And then Frailty falls off as well, because you obviously have someone else there that might also provide vulnerability. And then your Sigil doesn't provide any value. So I would say the Frailty Sigil is just in the scenario that you are alone and fighting a single boss. Only then it is a really, really good, like, Sigil for general usage for most open world builds. Only then. as soon as you have someone around, as soon as you have something that is dying faster than your regular boss, then frailty falls off drastically. Yes, correct, 100%. So always take my builds and look at them and say, okay, I like this build, I want to play it, and adjust it to your needs. That's my biggest thing. I want to always emphasize people build crafting on their own a bit, not only copy pasting and saying this is the perfect build for me. Sometimes that will work, don't worry, yes, but that doesn't mean that it will always work. Sometimes it will not work because you have some other needs, then you have to adjust it, 100%. People raid on the weekend, but not in Guild Wars 2. I actually don't know about other games when they raid typically. I feel like in Guild Wars 2 it's like really weird when people are like, they do it once, some people even log in for the raid and then they never log in back for the rest of the week. And that feels just a little bit like, just a little bit sad, to be honest. But yeah, I guess that's what you get when you don't have any other rewards than just the weekly time-gated ones. I think personally making daily rewards for raids and strike missions for all of them would be amazing. That would like incentive, if the reward is high enough, then people would be incentivized to play them again, even after the first clear. And that would actually like somewhat revive the pugging scene, just by a small change. Obviously there could be better changes, for sure, but I think this one might actually be one of the easiest to implement, and probably also like quite safe if you do the reward structure quite interesting. I think it's pretty much guaranteeing your success getting more people in there. Like 100%, I would say. Legendary armor grind, that is true. The legendary armor grind is obviously important for people, but nowadays I would say the raid armor is actually very uncommon that people do it. But because we have like very many ways to actually get legendary armor, you know? The raiding one was the first one, yes. It might also be the best looking one if you ask some people. Yeah, 100%. But does that mean we will like have crazy engagement with that anymore? No, because most people are going for the way of least resistance, and that's not necessarily raiding. A lot of the people in the casual audience obviously want to do the open world armor, want even maybe the world versus world one. So I think the legendary armor in raids is sadly not really like the biggest incentive anymore to actually get people into raids. Oh my god, please, why do you dodge out here? Yeah, so that's my take on the situation. Does that mean that will not change? Maybe it will change, but I really think that raiding, fractals, strikes and that kind of stuff is a niche within the PvE niche, and for a lot of people, they don't really want to engage with anything else than the open world. And I'm not sure if like just making the rewards better is like a long-term fix of that problem, but at least it will help people that actually engage with that content engaging more often, more frequently, 100%. At least that's my opinion there. 3 people dying. Obsidian armor is objectively the best legendary armor because it fills me with dread whenever I think about all the stuff that I need to finish. Yeah, I think, to be honest, the legendary obsidian armor is one of the most like, it is a very big grind. It's like one of the biggest grinds that you can actually do in Guild Wars 2. I did it for all 3 like armor weights, and I don't regret it. I think it was a fun grind, but it is not for everyone. So I think it's a grindy thing. So highly recommend if you want to have a long-term goal, but only then. Yeah. Damn, I didn't realize how expensive the AR stat infusions are. Thought I could just buy that shit, but 5,000 plus relics are needed, gonna be a grind. Yeah, I mean, the stat infusions you can also purchase, for example, from raids. You can also get them from the trading post. So for example, if you don't mind that your character will look a little bit different, you can purchase the polysaturated infusions, which would be the Halloween one. So there are obviously stat infusions that give you agony and stats, and you can get them for like not that expensive, like between 50 and 100 gold or something. And you don't need the other things, but it's still expensive, of course. Yeah, 100%. What's World vs. World's purpose? World vs. I mean, it's like in every other game. The purpose is to have fun. The purpose in World vs. World is to just have fun and fight against other players, capturing stuff and just getting the loot, getting more like open world PvP experience. But there is no real goal. If my team, like currently I'm on Frost Citadel, if Frost Citadel wins this week's matchup, we don't get anything. So there is no real goal. And that's a big criticism of the game mode, that there is nothing to really incentivize winning the matchup. It's a good point. It was like the last 13 years that way. And I'm not sure if it will ever change, if they will ever bring out stuff that is actually like guaranteeing me to get some value from winning. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I've been really enjoying the grind. I'd like to finish one set before the next expansion drops. I mean, you have until probably 28th of October. So you will probably have a long time, like at least 2 or 3 more months until you are done and get the next expansion. And even then, I would say there will probably be not as big of a grinding goal in the next expansion than the legendary armor. So you'll probably have a long time just having fun there. Don't worry too much. You will probably get it done. Yeah. Raids have basically zero incentive for casual players besides the story and an open world. Legendary Ring will be the final nail in the coffin for the influx of the new players into raids, 100%. I think they will do, and they will do it. And they will give open world players a Legendary Ring, 100%. Is that a good thing? Not necessarily, because that will kill raids in that sense if you are not looking for the experience. If you want to have the raiding experience, because you're coming from WoW, from other MMOs, yes. Raiding is interesting, but if you just come from the open world, there is no incentives to go into raids. That's the sad part. So I really hope they put in some value for players that didn't raid before, that they get incentivized to do it, because I think raiding in Guild Wars 2, especially with the current power creep, to get into is actually not that bad. It's really not that bad. So if you just get some nice incentives for people to go in and have fun there, I mean, it would be a good thing, in my opinion, for sure. But I'm not sure if they're really willing to do stuff like that, or if they're just like focusing on new stuff. I don't know. Aren't raids dead anyway? The ring wasn't an incentive even before. Yeah, the problem is that you're right. I think even legendary incentives might not be good enough to get people in. That's the sad part. It's really the sad truth. A lot of people only engage with content if the effort that they need to put in is small enough that it's actually like worth it for them. And I feel like a lot of people, especially the casual open world community, experiences raids as something that is too toxic for whatever reason, too hard to get into, that they will never get into. That's the sad part. You ever play raids when you can just turn your brain off and do matters and still get good power? Exactly. That's exactly the problem. Why would people go in if there's more effort put in and less or similar rewards? 100%. The purpose is to get higher points, basically. It's PvP with objectives. Yeah, obviously, the purpose of that in World vs. World is given, but there is no real purpose behind that purpose. So why would you get more points if you don't get anything for having more points? That's the problem that I'm speaking of. But yeah, of course, you're correct there. To be honest, I always felt really far behind. So I'd like to do stuff on content for once. I haven't even started a lot of the Chante Wilds content. I mean, like I said, don't worry. You can get the Chante Wilds content done until the end of October. So if you are playing like quite dedicated to the focusing of like getting everything done before then you can easily do that. Chante Wilds doesn't provide that much content in terms of like replayability and do it like story-wise and that kind of stuff. I think you can easily do it, but it should not be necessarily, oh my god, guys. Should not be necessarily your goal to rush through stuff just so that you are on launch day ready for it. I think that is never a good thing. Play it at your own pace, have fun, and you will actually have probably more fun than just saying, I want to play with everyone else. That's my tip there. Make legendary bags tied to raiding? Yeah, obviously. But I think that's the same thing. Would people go back in there to get the legendary, or would they just say, that's too much effort. I don't really need the legendary bag, so I don't really need to put the effort in. So I think that's a big problem, I would say, in most scenarios. That people always say, raiding, the effort is so high, I don't really care about getting into it. That's the sad part. I'm not sure if people are really willing to go and learn raids just for a specific legendary reward. If like the raid legendary ring, for example, is currently the only way of getting that ring in a PvE scenario. People still don't really engage enough with it. Yeah, so that's the sad truth. That's really the sad truth. What spec are you playing right now? So this is just the classical power virtuoso build. I have a build guide on my YouTube channel. It's just exactly the same, nothing changed. It's just a very good build, very fun to play, especially in this encounter. I like it a lot, but in general I like to play it if I want to play DPS. You can see my DPS numbers are okay, and yeah, just a fun build. Raids are more hard to get into if you don't have a raiding guild. I've been looking for weeks. Every day in the raid LFG to get into raids, no chance at all. It's mostly filled with raid currency runs. Yeah, exactly. The problem is that if you want to get into raids, the LFG is not helping you for the most part. You really want to get into a Discord like Raid Training Initiative on EU or the Crossroads Inn. There is also one on an A. Stuff like that. You really want to get into a Discord server. Only then you can guarantee that you find people that are willing to teach you and that you actually get the correct like kills all the time. Because if you're going into a pack run where no one knows anything, it's not that likely to actually get the kill, I would say. And you probably won't even find anyone that wants to do that. So I highly recommend that you check out the Discord if you want to get into raiding. And I think if you do that, you actually have an easier time getting into raids than if you want to get into Fractal CMs. Because Fractal CMs don't really have a lot of Discord servers that do that. And you have to work your slow way up through trainings in the LFG, which is very annoying. So Fractal CMs are even in a worse spot to get into, even though they are really lucrative, really fun. You have a decent amount of players doing them, I would say, or some players doing them, but sadly it's not enough in terms of training and getting into it. Yeah. My main problem over the past years is that there is no better way to expedite map completion after all these years. Yeah, I mean, the sad part is they develop a lot of maps. Why is it like gone away and then not? Okay. So over the last few years, they incentivized map completions for legendaries. That's the important part. But if you don't want to get a legendary, if you have all the legendaries that you want, the map completion is not really like absolutely valuing that much. So I think they put out really cool maps for the most part, and sadly not a lot of players have to re-engage with them, and that's a little bit sad. Yes, if you go for full legendary and stuff, you actually have a decent amount of re-engagement. I can tell you I did the map completion of the core map 13 times because I wanted to get all the legendaries done. So I actually know what I'm talking about when it comes to map completion. Does that mean it's like the only thing that is incentivizing to do the map completion? Yeah, pretty much. And if you don't want to do legendaries, it feels like it's a little bit of a like unnecessary thing to do, 100%. So I'm not sure how they could improve that. Guide fast gear for new character. I have like a guide for ascended gear. You can check it out on my YouTube channel. Just type !guides and there is a spreadsheet there where I link all my guides, and one of them is ascended gear guide, for example, and then it tells you how to actually get this stuff very fast. Will the expansion get announced? Yes, the expansion will get announced in 3 days. So on July 15th, we will get the expansion announcement, and I will be quite hyped because we will probably also get the elite specs, how they will be called, how they are looking like, something like that, some small teaser there. So I will be quite hyped about that. Of course, I will do a YouTube video as well and talking about and inform you about it. Don't worry. So 3 more days, and yeah, what can I say? I'm quite hyped. Hopefully you are also excited. Yeah, you can do map completion for blackline keys as well, but I would say it's not like the fastest way to actually get the value of a blackline key. Because if you think about it, if you want to get, for example, a blackline key, it costs, I don't know, how much does it cost? Like 50 to 100 gold, depending on your gem prices and that stuff. You could easily farm that very fast. No, it's actually less. It's less for 1 key. Yeah, so it's like 20 gold or something for 1 key. And that's something that you farm in an hour. So if you do the map completion, you need to be faster than that. So you need to complete like 4 maps or something to make sure that this is like better than farming the gold itself. I'm not saying you're wrong and you can not do it. If it's fun to you, just do it, yeah. I'm just saying sometimes it's more effective to just farm the gold and get it via the trading post. Or the gem store rather. Please let Elementalist be something good. I mean, I hope everything is something good, to be honest. So now we get into the spicy phase. 50% of this boss. Let's see if we will actually get the... Okay. What? It's 20 gold per key? I'm not sure. I'm just like rounding up. I never like calculated the value of one key in the last few weeks, so I'm not 100% sure about that. But it's not as high actually, because you can buy the gems in a cheap slot. You can buy, for example, the keys on sale, on a massive sale, and you actually get a very like decent value for the keys. And then it's not really like the farming is in most situations not really like the smartest way to do the map farms. But I'm not saying it's, if you enjoy doing the map completions, it's a good way. I'm just saying if you want the maximum amount of value, sometimes it's better to make sure that you're actually getting just gold and buying the keys. Yeah. Hey, not bad actually, not bad. Oftentimes EU groups die here, pucks. So very good. Is it a good time to pick up Guild Wars 2? Thanks that you enjoyed the stream. I would say Guild Wars 2 right now is in a positive upflow in terms of like how the mindset of the community is. We will get an expansion in October and people are quite hyped for that. So I would say if you enjoy what you see on my stream, yes, it's a good time to get into, but don't expect Guild Wars 2 to be like your next World of Warcraft in terms of how much content they put out. It's just a smaller studio, it doesn't provide that much content. That's just the truth. So, but for a new player, you have 10 years of content, so you will probably have thousands of hours before you get to a point where you have played through everything. So don't worry too much about that. So I would highly recommend it as a Guild Wars 2 streamer, of course. Please let Elementalist be an assassin with more mobility than a Willbender and more invisibility than a Ranger. I actually doubt that, to be honest. You know, no, I'm joking. Obviously, this is not happening, but I think we could get something that is a little bit more mobile. But people always asked for more range on Elementalist, some kind of mage fantasy. The spear gave it a little bit, but I'm not sure if we get guaranteed the crazy mage fantasy or if we get another like melee focus thing. We will see. In either way, I think Elementalist will be very exciting because I don't really see what we will get. For example, Ritualist we know for Necromancer, Paragon we know for Warrior. But for Elementalist, I think it's still quite open. So I'm quite excited for today's icon reveal. Yeah. What people even on about when they say contact, I honestly struggle to find people to run fractals and dungeons since I hit level 80 weeks ago. So you go to contacts and LFG and then go to looking for group. And then you scroll down to strike missions or fractals or dungeons, whatever you want to do. And then if you go to dungeons and fractals, there's always, at least for fractals, there's always someone like looking for a party. Even if you're doing it like late at night, early in the morning, whenever, there is always someone doing it. Does that mean it's like the correct group for you? Not necessarily, but you can easily post your specific needs and you will find some people there, I would say. So the LFG itself works. I think it just needs a little bit of an overhaul to be more effective at what it wants to do. Do you have any tips how to get into Fractal CMs? I'm currently at the EU and I'm having a hard time finding a group. LFG requires a lot of KP, which I don't have. I've been contemplating moving to NA. Yeah, that's really a really bad thing about EU. That they are always looking for people that are very experienced. The KP requirements are insane. So on my Discord, I'm always asking for people that want to get into a into a Fractal CM training. But I can't even find enough people to fill my group there. So if you want, you can join my Discord server and ask there. And we will hopefully, if we find 4 other people than me and you, so 3 people plus, then we should be able to do some raids, some Fractal CMs and do some trainings. But the thing is, you always have to find a group that is willing to take you for the next few runs until you get enough KP to join other groups. That's the sad truth on EU. So in general, I would say create your own groups and be patient. That's my biggest tip. But sadly, that's not helping you too much. So I'm sorry, I can't tell you more than that. It's just getting into Fractal CMs is quite bad. It's quite hard. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. In the beginning, of course, you're not a good player, but you will learn. If you train more, then you will get better and you will find better groups as well. It's just something that you have to be aware of, that it takes time and you need to be patient. If you really want to get into that, that's the thing. I would not move to NA like Snowdrop said, because the LFG there might not be better. So better stay on EU if you're already on EU. I would not swap just in the hope that it will get better, to be honest. Yeah, if you just join my Discord in the trainings group, we have like, just make a, like, how is it called? A thread, open it and ask for people that want to like do a training. And then I will of course join and will be the guide, so to say. You just have to find enough people to actually do it. You know, I can't tell you we do it as 2 people. So that's the thing here. But if you find some people that actually are willing to do that with us in the Discord, if you can convince them to engage with that, easy, I have no problem. Fractal trainings is always something fun, because I think that is something that is really lackluster in the community. So always happy to bring that up. Yeah. So let's concentrate for a second. I don't want to die here as my party members here, my squad members. I wouldn't say it's a dead game. Not at all, actually. It's just the focus of the game is more on the open world stuff. That's the thing, Rainmaker. That's the thing. The people, like 90% of the community never engages with with anything other than open world. So why would people expect the game is alive in game modes where most of the community is actually not even engaged with? That's the thing here. So if you enjoy open world, it's an amazing game. If you want to get into raiding, it's actually doable, not that bad. But if you want to get into fractal CMs, which is 5-person content like dungeons that are quite challenging or somewhat challenging, it's not the easiest time, but you can make it work. It's not undoable. I did it as well. I never did like the fractals when they came out, except the Kinfall fractal. Never. I just played them after a while. Always. Which makes sense, because you are playing with people who have been doing the content daily for 5 to 10 years and then obviously you don't want to carry new players. Exactly, that's the problem. That's just the game is so old, and new players that want to get into the content are just, the experience level is like worlds apart, and that's the problem. For sure, 100%. Yeah, my dungeons. Yeah, dungeons. I like dungeons. We actually have us. The crazy thing is to understand is, there is, in my at least as far as I know, there is no Fractal CM training Discord server out there. But if you want to get into dungeons and run dungeons very fast, there is a Discord server. I can send the link if you want to. And you can farm crazy amounts of gold per hour. I have a guide about it, how to farm like 70 gold per hour with dungeons. If you join this Discord server, they will take you in. They will teach you how to do it. So there are actually people that know how to do that and teach you. But for fractals, not that much. You can ask content creators like myself to help you, or create your own group in a LFG. But Discord servers, as far as I know, there is nothing that actually helps you getting into CMs. There are plenty of guilds that run raids. Exactly. I mean, if you are new, that doesn't mean that you should not be able to join a Discord. You just join the Discord even if you're new, and you will find people that help you. You just have to join the correct Discord. That's the problem. There's nothing in-game that teaches you to find the correct people. It's always outside of the game. That's a problem. By the way, if I skipped one of your questions or anything, please just repeat it. I might just have missed it. Yeah. Thanks for the follows. Really appreciate it. You can progress doing any content as PvP, World vs. World, PvE, Dungeons, Fractals, done, Open World. Yeah. Guild Wars 2 is very easy in terms of getting a specific reward. If you're really only reward driven, most of the time you can progress to legendary, all that stuff, by focusing on some game modes, not all of them. But if you want to get into a specific game mode because you enjoy the concept of the game mode, then some game modes are harder to get into than others. That's just a fact, and that might be sad or might be good depending on who you ask. But I think getting into Fractal CMs should be way easier because they are amazing. I will do them later after this strike run because I like them a lot. It's really fun to play them, and what can I say? I think we need more players getting into them. That's my whole thing. And if you Rainmaker, that's the important part here. If you are looking for a game that is like World of Warcraft and having or Final Fantasy, you have crazy instance content, you have crazy community behind that. Guild Wars 2 has content like that, yes. And I'm doing it daily, yes. Does that mean that most of the community does that? No. The game is focused on open world stuff, is focused on having like a very casual audience, and therefore you don't have the craziest amount of instance content. And especially when it comes to crazy hard content, like really crazy hard strikes and raid missions, it's not necessarily very much alive in that sense. There are people that do it, but it's not like everyone does it. And you might have a hard time finding a group doing it as well. That has to be said. But so if you're looking for a game that is like a World of Warcraft clone, Guild Wars 2 is not it. That's just a fact. Welcome, Beowulf, welcome. Would you say there are any benefits to Untamed over Soul Beast for Fractal Strikes? Seems 10 times harder and same DPS from my experience. So for most strike missions and especially Fractals, Soul Beast is really good because it has higher burst damage. And that's exactly what you want in a lot of fights where you have phases where where the fight is over way faster, stuff like that. So in most situations, I would agree with you, Soul Beast is the superior choice. That's why a lot of people don't have like Untamed geared or not really equip it most of the time. But there is some incentive to play Untamed, for example, in raids especially, where you have not as many phases, or where you want to have some utility with the projectile destruction, where you want to have utility by having boon strip, stuff like that in your kit. So I think Untamed has value, especially because it's, in my opinion, also the better choice if the fight is longer. But I can see why you would not go for Untamed ever. Yeah, 100%. If you like open world, then Guild Wars 2 is perfect. There are so many maps, so much content, so much farms, so much like incentive to play maps for different reasons. So I think Guild Wars 2 in that sense has amazing like longevity in terms of just in what you can get from out of the game just by playing only one game mode, which would be the open world. It's insane. But if you don't like open world, I'm not sure if Guild Wars 2 is the game for you. You can enter Fractals if one of your teammates is in the Fractals already, from Lion's Arch or from the Mistlock Sanctuary. Or if you have no teammates that are in there already, you can do it yourself by just going with the, what's it called? To Lion's Arch with the portal in the south. This gate portal in the middle of the arena. I can show it to you after this. Maybe someone can link it as well. But in Lion's Arch you can get in there, yes. Do I need to go through like 2 years of learning to be able to understand combat? No, not at all. I think the combat looks challenging at the beginning, but to be honest, getting into it, you don't have to master it, and that's the good part. If you want to master it, it's quite challenging, but if you just want to get into it, don't worry. I would say most of the community didn't master it yet, and that's the thing. Just play, have fun, that's the important part. That is the thing that matters. The world is very rewarding for exploration. You will discover little hidden areas and secrets everywhere, like achievements, things to collect. Yeah, it's amazing. If you are an achievement hunter, someone that wants to get more achievements and stuff, there is so much in the open world to explore. You know, every new map actually has an own section there you can explore all the achievements. You know, that's just one map, and there is so many cool things, hidden side stories that you can get. If you're into that, it's amazing. It's really good. That's the biggest strength of Guild Wars 2 is the open world, 100%. Yeah, thanks Northrop for pinging the point. So I can just copy and paste this weird bracket thing that Northrop put in chat and put it in your chat, and it should ping you the waypoint where you need to go. Like, get a new character to level 80 through exploration and mind story, do the expansion stories, and then how I actually start doing World vs. World or get gift right. I mean, I would listen to one of my guides, for example, on YouTube if you want to have a World vs. World specific video or something like that, or build. But in general, you just do what you just said, do the story, go through the map, explore the stuff, get your gear for what you want. For example, if you want to be a healer, get healing gear, and then find a guide that you can follow, and then you have no problem and just explore and get more stuff and understand it in your own pace. That's the beauty of Guild Wars 2 in that sense. Yeah. Welcome, Final One. Welcome, welcome. Hope you had a nice day so far. So let's see if we can get top DPS here. I think I will probably not be able to do so. We have a Scrapper, which is obviously a really, really good thing here. A lot of cleave. I don't have that much cleave. I can try. Okay, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Do we get stability here? No. Okay, I guess they are just killing one guy. That's okay. Classic, classic. No problem, always happy to answer, and if you have any questions, you're always welcome to ask here or in our Discord server. We're always happy to answer new players' question or anyone's question actually. Just, you know, just ask, don't be shy. That's the important part. The community, I would say, especially in PvE, is actually really welcoming and friendly. You just have to ask. Yeah. What can I do with those fractal keys? So the fractal keys that you see here, those, you can use to open those fractal encryption boxes. Those boxes you can either get from doing fractals or you can purchase them from the TP because they are tradable. And if you open one of those boxes, you get loot. And this loot is typically just raw gold. And then you can sell that to a vendor and you get, or this is trophies that you can sell to the vendor and you get gold because of that, liquid gold. So that's quite valuable. So always have one key and one encryption box and combine them and you will actually get some gold out of it. So that's quite valuable. It's one of the best things about fractals is that you get a lot of liquid gold. Yeah. I mean, I'm always waiting until I get a full stack, so I will probably get a full stack later today, and then I will open it, because then I don't have to do it all the time, and I save myself a little bit of time clicking, and that means that I will overall get more gold per hour, because I decrease my time spent opening those boxes, but that's just something for the sake of efficiency. Hope that makes sense. Yeah, as always, if you have any question, please let me know. I'm always happy to answer questions. Even if it sounds stupid, the question, don't worry. I'm happy to answer. Guild Wars 2 is really like, you engage the game in your own pace, in your own like style. Everyone plays it a little bit different. That doesn't mean it's a wrong way that you play it. So that's the really important part. Just play at your own pace, have fun. The game is not really, I always try to emphasize that the game itself is more like a sandbox game. You reach level 80 and some people quit after that because they don't know what to do after that. Guild Wars 2 is in that sense very like easy to get lost because you have so many different things that you could possibly do. But in my opinion, just look for a goal that you like to have, a long-term goal, and then just stick to it. Play content that you enjoy and stick to the goal. And then you will have years of content to do, in my opinion, in Guild Wars. 100%. At least that was the case for myself. Yeah. What do you think is the best DPS? I mean, it depends on the content that you're doing, but I have a tier list on Boreal on my YouTube channel where I talk about this, and I think there are many DPS that are really good right now. In terms of highest damage number, it is pretty clear Mirage, but you will probably not reach it. So it's like a really try-hard thing. Not a lot of people reach this number. So I would rather go for something that has more utility than DPS, but that's obviously just my opinion there. So for example, I'm playing with Power Virtuoso right now. I would rate it really highly because it has a lot of utility while still having great DPS. But you can just check out my tier list on the YouTube channel. Yeah, I think the content creators in Guild Wars 2, at least the ones that are really creating content, they are quite friendly. But there are not that many, sadly. So obviously, if you're interested in creating content for Guild Wars 2, even better. We always want to have a bigger community in terms of just more people creating content for it. So that's always good. do you have any advice when it comes to inventory management for new player? Like, it's a really big issue for me. Yeah, that's the problem, you know. How can I make a new player guide that explains how to clean your inventory? Because there are so many items in the game, everyone could get something different. So always open boxes, use the deposit all materials feature so that they go into material storage, and then you just use and try to get your inventory clean. For example, those things I can sell to the vendor because they are not that important. And then I keep some stuff, for example, those bone skinner vials I keep. Where is it? Somewhere I keep it. Where is it? Am I blind? I guess I'm blind. Somewhere I have a stack of those. Yeah, here. Okay. And then I just put them on a storage character. But of course, as a new player, you can't do that. So yeah, I think the general thing is getting your inventory as big as you can get it is good, but it's not necessary. You should always try to get your bank and check your material storage. You can sell a lot of stuff for gold if you don't need it. You can sell stuff from your inventory directly. You should always try to use the pieces of unidentified gear and stack them up, and then you can open them all together and salvage them or sell them directly. Stuff like that. Those are tips that I can give you. But there are so many items where I can't tell you in one video, this one you should do that, this one you should do that. So there are many ways, and I can't tell you guaranteed that this is the thing that is like the perfect way. So if you have a specific question for a specific item, sure, ask, but I can't tell you all of the items. That's the sad truth. Yeah, I would sell unidentified gear or open it yourself and salvage it with the correct rule that I mentioned in a recent video where I explained in detail when to salvage, how to salvage and stuff. But never salvage the unidentified gear directly. Either sell it or open it and then salvage it. That's the important part. Never salvage the unidentified gear. That is like a lot of wasted gold. Exactly. A good point by Hubby here. If you want to clean your inventory, anything that you can sell on the TP and you don't know what it actually is, just sell it on the TP because you will be getting some gold. And in the end, you will probably also, if you really needed that item that you just sold, you can buy it back and it just gives you some more space. 100%. That's a very good tip. 100%. No, I think I agree, Snowdrop. If you're a new player and you don't know what to do with the item, just sell it on the TP. It's really like you can't stack up all of those items that you get just in case you will need them. That will not work out for you. So I would really say sell them. If you know what that item is about and you know that you will need it in the future, sure, keep it. But as a new player, there are so many items that you get. I think selling them is always a safer bet because they are like 90% of the items you will never need if you like in the next year or so. That's my tip. Welcome, Cursor. Welcome. I've been watching your videos, mostly solo PvE ones, like for 1 month. Yeah, nice. Welcome that you are here. I rerolled to different armor type and have no easy ascended main pieces. Would you try and craft new ones? I would really not craft ascended stuff. There is so many ways nowadays to get ascended armor in specific. For example, the Wizard's Vault is amazing. You can go for example, this guy here sells ascended armor for raid current for the blue shards that you can get from strike missions. There are so many from fractals, from raids, from World vs. World, PvP. All of those give you access to ascended armor. And all of those are cheaper ways than crafting it yourself. So I would not recommend crafting it. Crafting is only a last resort. Yeah. I'm just started playing World vs. World. Can you remember how long it takes to get the legendary armor from that game mode? Oh, it takes a while. It is time gated quite hard. So I think it takes weeks to complete 100%, like at least I think 9 weeks or something. If you do everything, it takes 9 weeks for a full set. It's really hard time gated. But if you enjoy the game mode, that's not a problem. You will get it eventually in the end. It's just something that you have to understand, that it's not something that you can say, oh, I played 24 hours now and then I will have it. That's not how it works. It's a little bit time gated. That's just, it needs time. Which is not necessarily bad, because if you play only 1 hour a day, you will get it very, very effectively. Yeah, Necromancer is a very good class to start. So it's not only fun, but it's also very, very good in all game modes right now. So yeah. But you can play every character, every class. It's really in every game mode actually. The balance is actually quite good in that way. If I suck at both, which is easier to learn, Condi Chrono or Condi Mirage? For PvE, I would say Condi Chrono is easier to learn, but it's also quite a bit worse than Condi Mirage right now. So I think actually because of the high damage number, I think a lot of people actually could actually still play Condi Mirage to some decent level and you achieve a very high number still. So maybe if you enjoy the playstyle, just try it out, I guess. You might actually find yourself, oh my god, just got one shot by the mobs here. Okay. Yeah, it takes a while. That's just the question. If you can endure that, then that's good. If you can't, then better go for a different armor. Like going for PvP is faster. Going for even raids, even open world can be faster if you grind like crazy. But I think World vs World is the most casual friendly one. If you don't have a lot of time to spend in the game, World vs World can actually be a really easy way to get it. It just takes a few weeks. That's just a fact. Yeah. Is Guild Wars 2 fun anymore? I actually enjoy it, but that's obviously a very personal take, for sure. I just started playing and I'm enjoying Ranger. How hard is it to unlock Untamed? Not that hard. You just have to get a few hero points and then you can unlock Untamed. Or if you want to do it with World vs World, you can actually purchase it there as well. So, and of course you have to have the expansion. You have to have End of Dragons to get Untamed. But if you have that, it's not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. You can get, most people after release of an expansion get that in the first day. At least if you play a little bit effectively, yeah. Time to grief my raid team with Condi Mirage then? I tell them Simmer told me. I mean, maybe you are like really a prodigy and you know exactly how to play it. So I really, you never know. And I think Mirage is like, a lot of people say, oh, it's so hard, don't play it. But I think that's the wrong statement. I would say it's hard, but if you want to commit time to learning it, it's actually very well worth learning because it's a really good spec. It's a really good spec. It has a lot of really good points. It has surprising high burst for that it's a Condi build. It is just very high DPS in general, of course. And it's, in my opinion, quite fun. So, yeah. I'm in a weird spot with Guild Wars 2. I started playing with until launch, and I really love all the systems in the game and how smooth everything is, but I feel like it's lacking a decent progression system. In RuneScape, I always have bosses to solo and grind collections logs for, and Path of Exile, I always have gear upgrades to go for, but can't find anything fun in Guild Wars 2 to grind solo. Yeah, I mean, what can I tell you? The thing is not for everyone, which is a good and a bad thing. So if you have to set yourself own goals. My goal was, for example, going for all legendaries, going for almost all the skins in the wardrobe, stuff like that. So yes, in my opinion, there are many things that you could set yourself a goal to, but most of them require other players. So if you're only solo doing stuff, sometimes that's a little bit like you're still playing an MMO. So if it's not for you, then I can't give you tips to make it for you. That's just, sadly, the game is not for everyone. But of course I can. I would say I'm a solo player myself for the most part. I'm not all the time in Discord with people and only playing with friends, so to say. I'm pugging most of the time. So that's not an issue for me. But if you don't want to do that, I can totally understand it, 100%. Are there still players doing Heart of Thorns raid and need to unlock raid mastery? Yes, I think those are actually the most replayed raids because they are somewhat easy and people like the encounters of them. Yeah, 100%. I actually think those are really good starting raids and a lot of people do them because of that. Yeah. So don't worry too much. It's raiding in Guild Wars 2, especially the raid wing 1 to 4, actually really a lot of people do it. Yeah. I'm having a great time with Fireband Quickness Healer. Yeah, it's a really cool build. It's not the easiest build, but if you know how to play it, it's really fun. It's really fun. It's fast paced, has a lot of utility, can carry the groups. You know, what more do you want as a healer? 100%. I've been playing Reaper since the beginning. I'm looking for a spec which is also brain-dead plus undying. Would you suggest any? Huge HP pool is my weakness, so I don't like to get one-shotted. What is a good one there? probably Scrapper right now. Power Scrapper is like insane because you have decent HP pool because you take a lot of dragon pieces and you have like permanent maximum barrier. So you have like 31k effective HP or something, which is obviously insane. So Power Scrapper probably might be a very good alternative if you want to learn something new. I'm a brand new player. I love playing a ranged caster, but is Elemental is the only choice available? No. For example, Mesmer could be played as that, or even Necromancer is some kind of casting spec, so there are multiple classes that do that. But even Guardian can be played as something like that. It's highly dependent on what kind of specific playstyle you have in mind. If you want to be some kind of fire camping mage or something like that, so fire mage, fire wizard, then Elementalist is the only choice. But if you like just want to have some kind of ranged magical fantasy, I think there are multiple classes that could fill that. So yeah. Welcome Lumi, welcome. Do you think it's fine to sell unstable Rift motivations? Yes, I actually do that all the time because I don't need them and it's just a very good influx of gold. Yeah, I do that all the time. Yeah, I'm very hyped for the new specs, 100% as well. I'm actually, like, this is my biggest, like, hype for the current situation is that I just know there will be a lot of content for me to explore when the expansion drops. Even if there's no new map, I will be absolutely, like, crazy excited about the new elite specs and will play that probably for months. Yeah, so I can totally understand it. And I would say it's also reviving the game in that sense because not that many people like would say, oh, this is an expansion that I will not buy. You know, elite specs are something that sells very well. What is the easiest quickness provider? Power DPS? What's the easiest provider? Yeah, I mean, probably the easiest quickness provider is probably Power Quickness Herald. It's very easy to play. Or Quickness DPS. Unload Deadeye. That could also be very good. When you said open world, what do you usually mean? Simply exploration? No. It's typically what people do is meta events, so events that spawn on a specific timer, for example, where you have to group up and just kill some bosses, or you want to do some specific like encounters where you get specific loot drops, like kill some dragons or something like that. All of that stuff is happening in the open world, and that's what most people engage with. And they farm that over and over to get some more gold, get the new skins, whatever, get some infusion drops, which is a really rare loot item, stuff like that. The open world is, so to say, that what people engage with to get more gold and just get the newest skins or something like that. I'm so curious what new spec Engineer will get. 100%. I think Engineer, in my opinion, that's the fun thing. I think we already know the icon for it. That's my prediction. That's the one with the orb in the middle and the weird things around it. But what exactly it will look like, what it will play out, I have no clue. No clue whatsoever. Yeah, I think Scrapper is also quite easy. I think there are many quick DPS specs that are quite easy to play, or at least to some level. You just should go for the one that you enjoy the fantasy of, because that's like the thing that is like keeping you playing. If you don't like the playstyle of it and you just played it because I told you it's easy, that's not helping in the long run. So there are so many. I have so many on my YouTube channel. You can just type !builds and you will find so many quick DPS builds guides that I have on my YouTube channel. Just check out the one that you enjoy the most. Yeah. The more I do fractals, the harder they get, and then I can farm gold. Yes, fractals will always give you gold, but the harder once you do them, the more gold they give you. So it's always something that you should recognize, that it's better to go for harder ones. Harder ones, they are still not too hard. They just give you more gold. Yeah. As a scrapper, you can maintain 100% quickness uptime without energies, like Untamed need someone to attack without enemies. Yes, there are some builds like Chronomancer, like Untamed, like Berserker that need to have a target, which is not always recommended, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't play them. I play Power Chronomancer for quickness a lot of the times because it's just still a very good build. Yes, you're right, they need a target. That can be a negative, 100%. I just finished a fractal and didn't get gold. So fractals are the typical reward for fractals you get from completing daily fractals. So the fractals that are shown in your daily fractal section. If you want to get more fractals done after you did all the dailies, you will not get liquid gold in that sense. You will only get the fractal encryption boxes, which is not bad because they are also gold, but the dailies give you way more gold. So I would go for like the daily fractals every day if you want to get the most out of it. And then after that you can still do some, but it's not as rewarding as it was before. You get, I will show it. I will do the daily, and now actually I will do the dailies from the fractals now. And you will get liquid gold by opening those boxes. So I can open one now for you. So here's one, I cracked it, and then I open it, and I will get this item here. This one came out of it. And this is a trophy that has no value. You just sell it to the vendor. I open a vendor portal, and I sell this thing for 20 silver. So one box in this one gave me 20 silver. It has some, like, how can I say, RNG based, but in the end it will roughly result around, for me, at 100, a little bit more than 100 gold per stack of fractal encryption boxes. That's the general thing here. Let's do that, I guess. Welcome, Fatso. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're logging in? Nice. I invite you then. Let's do it. Let's do it. I hope the new elite specs don't require insane amount of keys. I had to quit Guild Wars 2 because it was giving me the wrist pain. So the thing is, I think a lot of new specs are typically designed with a very crazy amount of like synergies and button presses that you need to do to get the most out of them. For the most part, it is actually insane how easy you can make some builds to, for example, make them easier to play, but not like completely bad at the game. So I think I have a lot of low intensity builds, even for new specs like Willbender, that a lot of people think, oh, this is really spammy. So I think it's actually, you can find ways to actually do that. So I will do build guides about that. So you will probably have builds from me coming up that are actually made for people that don't want to have the highest APM still for all the new specs. Yeah. How come I see players who are clueless about fractals and are like mastery level 236? I mean, that doesn't mean anything. That the mastery level is just something that people get after getting to level 80. You can be a complete noob and don't know anything about the game, only play open world and get the highest mastery rank. So is that something that is bad? Not necessarily, but if you want to get into fractals, the mastery rank doesn't provide anything. So there can be someone that has mastery rank level 10 and doesn't really have any open world stuff done, but is the perfect player for fractals because they do it every day. So that really is nothing that tells you. For example, the same is for achievement points. I have quite a bit, but I'm not the highest one. There are people that have over 50k achievement points. Are they good players? Maybe, but that doesn't mean they are really that they are guaranteed to be good at 50k achievement points. So that's just like the mindset that you should have. Every player can be good or bad. Does not depend on what they actually have in game, what they earned already. That's really important. My master rank is 8 and I've been playing this whole week. Like, I mean, that's just a grind, the mastery thing. That does not really provide a lot of value, and it's just a time thing in that sense for open world and stuff. That doesn't make you a good player. You know, someone that played 1k hours doesn't mean that they are really good at the game. Someone that played 100 hours can be way better just because they know what they're actually doing. So let's set up the... It's good, it's good, it's good. There are top PvP players who don't know what a world boss is. Exactly. You know, Guild Wars 2 has so many game modes that there are players for each game mode that they actually have never engaged with a specific other game mode. And a good example is actually the open world. The open world is something that most people play in Guild Wars 2. But there are some people that never touch the open world, like crazy tryhard Fractal players, raiders, of course PvPers, even World vs. World people. They see the World vs. World being played by a friend, by a streamer, and they say, this is what I want to do, get to level 80, instantly play this game mode. Nothing else. And you can do that. Guild Wars 2 is not really like forcing you to do specific things to engage with other game modes. It's not. It's really not. And is that a bad thing or a good thing? That depends on who you ask. But I would say it's definitely like helping players playing the thing that they enjoy playing. So if you enjoy Fractals, go for it and don't care about mastery rank. It doesn't matter at all. For Fractals, the only thing that matters is your Fractal level and your Agony resistance, so that you can do the higher level Fractals without dying to the Agony. This is, by the way, a Fractal CM that I'm doing right now. Thanks for the follows, really appreciate it, by the way. So as always, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm always happy to answer them, even if they look stupid at first, so don't worry. What a good PvE solo build with someone who has high ping. I mean, most of my solo builds that I posted on my YouTube channel are actually quite good. There will be a tier list coming up this week, so you can just wait for that one, and I will give you like a 15-minute, 20-minute discussion what actually is the best solo build in my opinion right now. So be sure to check out my YouTube channel for that one, coming up very, very soon, I think tomorrow. That is true. If a player prefers World vs. World, then this player can still earn gold, make legendary armor, and can do everything. Exactly, and that's a good thing in my opinion, because that makes the game way more like flexible. It's a bigger game, yes. It's harder to get to understand every single part of it, but in my opinion, that makes the game a very good game, because it's like teasing different people, getting people in from different audiences into the game, and all of them enjoy the game because it's a good game. So in the end, everyone is happy about that, I would say. If it's not spread too thin, of course, that is. Just started Guild Wars 2 and been watching a lot of your YouTube videos. Good stuff. Glad you think so, glad you think so. If you have any comments how you could improve that, how I could improve that, let me know. I'm always happy to improve my content as well, of course. Snowdrop is on the Harbinger, you know. Hopefully you watched my guide about it, and actually I'm now a Condi Harbinger god, hopefully. That's what we like. Welcome, Snow, please. Welcome, welcome. Always looking forward to your videos? That's good, very good. I try to upload at least once a day, so I put a lot of effort into my videos. So always, if you have any comments and video ideas, what is going on? Why it's a little bit laggy. Then let me know. I'm always happy to get some recommendations. I can't promise you to make every single video work. Don't worry, that there will be time delay, of course, as well. I have a lot of stuff. Yeah, you had the lag as well. Crazy. So maybe there was some kind of server lag there. It does not force you to do just PvE or PvP if you don't like it. Exactly. I think the only thing that you are forced to do is the first event in like when you create your character. That is what is going on. The boss? Where is the boss? What? What is going on? Where is the boss? What? I never saw that one. What? The boss is hiding. What is back there? No. Come back. Come out. What? Is he even attacking? No, I think he's... I mean, we can still kill it, can't we? Very interesting. I actually never had that bug. What is going on? No, he's actually... I think he's completely bugged. Ah, he's invulnerable to you. Okay. Let's wait for one more thing. Maybe he jumps back in the middle with the... No. I mean, I guess we GG. Let's... What is going on? I mean, what? I never saw that. That's crazy. I watched your Elementalist Tempest Fire video and made a ele. Yeah, I mean, that's perfect. You know, that's I want to get more people getting interested in different like classes and stuff. So that's always good. Yeah, I had lag as well. Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy what is going on with my with this specific fractal. I don't even know. I never saw that, and I did a lot of this fractal. Yeah, I'm actually not sure what's going on. Maybe they actually have some stuff in the background going on, and therefore we get some front end bugs as well. Interesting, very interesting. I always feel lost when I open World vs. World. I just walk around for 20 minutes, then go back to open world. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not for everyone, and especially now with the new alliance system and stuff, it is not the, let's say, easiest thing to get into if there is no other like crazy active community around that. That's true, and that's a sad thing for sure. Does that mean it's unplayable or that you don't like it? Maybe, but I would say for me, you just have to play to the correct time and maybe on the correct server, and you will actually find people willing to do stuff with you. But I can totally understand the criticism there, 100%. Could you make a video on how to firebrand quick heal on strikes? So I have a firebrand guide and explained it in very much detail how to play that. Again, the lag is there again. What? What? What is going on? I actually never had that before. That on this fractal, that everyone gets crazy lags. Maybe we can get the rest here. So hopefully we get the kill here, and then hopefully the next fractals don't have this server lag or something. That's not what we want. When in doubt, follow tech. Yeah, of course, if there is one, when in doubt, follow the tech. That doesn't mean they know what they are doing, but it's always better if like 10 people follow someone. You will have better time than if everyone is running around like headless chickens. 100%. If you want to experience World vs. World, do it at reset. Yeah, that is true. World vs. World at reset, Friday in the evening, at least for you, is one of the best things to actually experience World vs. World, because a lot of players are playing at that time. Doesn't mean it will be like very happy for you. Sometimes you get stomped because the enemy team is just better. That can happen. But in a lot of circumstances, it's actually, in my opinion, quite worth it to play at reset if you can get in the map, because there is a lot of action going on. That's always something good. What can I do with fractal relics? I mean, you can use it to level up your fractal potions. So there is this potion I can show you after this fractal. So is it this thing here that gives you more stats in fractals? So that can be really good. And other than that, you can use it to buy specific skins, specific fractal loot. So there are many ways to spend it, and you can also turn it into gold if you wanted to. So fractals are actually really rewarding, every single piece of them. So just check it out, what you get, and you will find a way to use it, I would say. I view World vs. World as wilderness and RuneScape. Just go and roam, try to survive. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's at least how I play it. It doesn't mean everyone plays it like that. Some people are playing it like a crazy, like 50 versus 50 all the time. Then you are not that much of a roamer anymore. But you can still experience it as a single player and just have fun. That's the important thing. Nice, I will try and reset. That's a good recommendation, and you will probably have fun then, yeah, sure. Tell me next stream how it went. I'm really excited to see that. I'm always happy when I get new players in chat that actually are excited to try out some stuff that I already did for 100 times. So that's really cool. You know, I want to get the same engagement, the same fun for new players as well. That's really cool. I like that. So hopefully no lags now. Hopefully we get the kill. Now we get to the most spicy phase of this boss, where we actually can get one-shot by the eye mechanic all the time. How do you get the keys to those fractal boxes? You get them by opening the daily fractals. So if you do daily fractals, you get some keys there. If you do, you can purchase them from a vendor, which costs a little bit of gold, but because you know you will get some gold back, it's actually worth it. Stuff like that you can do. But like I said, the most common way that people get it is from getting the daily fractals. You can daily tier 4 fractal. If you don't have the tier 4 stuff unlocked yet, you can also do the daily tier 1 and stuff. You will get a little bit less rewards, but you get still rewarded for doing them, so always do those. And you will get a lot of them over time. I have like a lot of them lying around, and it's actually a very worthwhile investment to even buy them from the vendor. Do you know if there's a downside to finishing the PvP re-ranked season with AOM? What is AOM? I don't know what AOM is. Maybe you can explain. I'm not sure what you meant by this. But finishing the PvP season is never a bad thing, you know. But why? It's just like you get rewards, you get a title at the end if you're high enough, and then you get a next season starting right away the day after, just a different season. Typically it's a specific game mode for 1 week or 2 weeks, and then it will come back to the conquest. Yeah. If you go to your achievement panel, so press H and achievements, and then go to daily and daily fractals, and there are all the daily fractals listed. So hero panel and just the dailies, there you will find it. When you not play it for a while, no, there is no downside. You will get some negative impact on your rating, but you can easily remove that by just playing again. So it's not a big problem. PvP is like very forgiving in that sense. Yeah. Is anyone in chat running Guild Wars 2 on Linux by any chance? I actually don't know. I run it, of course, on Windows. That's just the most common thing. But maybe in chat actually have some tips there. There we go. We did it. After all the lags. I wouldn't say you're supposed to do all the dailies. I'm just saying doing the dailies, especially the daily tier 4 fractal. So not the daily recommended, but the daily fractal here, this really specific daily, not the fractal with the number there, is very rewarding. You will get all of those. So for example, you will, if I do a tier 4, so the highest level of Deepstone, which is for example today daily, you will get the tier 1, tier 3 and tier 2 as well. So does that mean I would recommend you to do that? Probably. If you have access to it, I would do it every day. But if you're not able to do that yet, don't worry too much. Just go for the one that you highest. It's not open for me. Oh, okay. Yeah, exactly. Go for the smallest one possible, and then you will have fun. Yeah, that's it. Let's see how it goes. This is always a spicy one as well with pack groups. If I have enough CC, maybe I can carry it. Okay. Saphiros, welcome. What's your favorite elite spec now? Doesn't have to be the strongest or best. Mine is Spellbreaker. My favorite elite spec right now. That's a tough choice. I play on typical days of Guild Wars 2, I play like at least 5 different classes. So it's really hard to nail one specific down. Right now, I probably enjoy... What is it? That's actually so hard to put down. Probably right now in PvE I enjoy Catalyst a lot, to be honest. Catalyst is really fun. But I play the most Chronomancer because it's the crazy carry in most groups. I played a lot of Healing Spellbreaker, if you believe it. That was, not Spellbreaker, Heal Berserker. That was amazing. I had a lot of fun with that one over the course of the last week. That is amazing. but it's highly underrated. So I really want to make people more aware of the crazy goodness of this build. So maybe I should play it more often on stream as well. It's really fun. So maybe that's actually my pick for PvE. Healing Berserker, it's so fun and good. It's really nice. Do you recommend full Agony +9 resistance before even trying tier 4? I would go with the Fractal recommended level of Agony. So at Fractal level 100, you should have 150 Agony. But if you are like at 75 or 76 only, you'd only need a fraction of that. So you only need 100 or something. So I would recommend going for the highest Agony possible for you, but only double check before you enter so that you make sure that it's like guaranteed that you have the one that is not killing you instantly. So yes, go for the highest one possible. It doesn't have to be +9 in the beginning, but in the end you should have at least +9 in every single infusion slot. Yeah. Fractals are like the perfect length. I agree. I think fractals are amazing. I think if they would put out like 25 more fractals, they will never do that many, but still, that would be a game mode that I would do like 24/7 every time I stream and stuff, because fractals are like really fun to me. It's a really fun and perfect concept. That's exactly what I want. I want a fast-paced environment to farm some gold and to have like really fun fights, engage with the combat of Guild Wars 2, stuff like that. That's amazing to me. I don't want to have a fight that takes 30 minutes. That's why I don't engage a lot of open world fights most of the time, because they are just too sluggish. That's just my feeling of it. Doesn't mean it's bad. I'm just saying I like the fast-pacedness of a 5 minutes fractal or something. So let's see. Go for full CC setup. Let's go full CC Chronomancer. 3 days left for what? Until we get the expansion announcement and we get the announcement of the elite specs, which elite specs we will get. So that will be very exciting. That's why I'm so hyped about it. But of course, if you don't know about it, maybe you're not hyped because of that. But I would say I'm quite hyped about it. 9 new elite specs, where we don't even know the names yet for most of them. Sounds good. Sounds good. Is it wise to play Spellbreaker in open world PvE and soloing? I mean, what do you mean wise? You know, I would say Spellbreaker is a really good choice in open world. It is not the best solo build. That's just sadly not the case. It's not. Does that mean you can't play it? No, not at all. It is a very decent solo build, and it's very good in group scenarios in the open world because you have power DPS, you have some defense, you have good boons. It's just a nice thing to play. If you want the best solo build, tier list coming up tomorrow. So let's see. Looks actually really decent. I like it a lot. Good focusing on the boss and stuff. I like it. Good group. Good. Give me. Oh, the solo CC is so good. I like Chronomancer is so good. You know, I have so much CC, I can easily solo all of that stuff while also providing the heals and stuff. Chronomancer is so good. It's really like insane value. It's crazy. Look at my CC. I have almost double the amount of the next guy. It's such a broken build. It's crazy. I really am so surprised that they didn't nerf Chronomancer yet. It's insane to me. It's really insane. I want to play Furry Foxy. Yeah, I think you might get that, Aoki. You might get that with the next expansion. I think that could be like one elite spec. I'm not sure which class will get it. Ranger, maybe Elementalist, maybe even Guardian. But I think something like that could come. It looks like really Kitsune or something like that, yeah. I'm now officially in EOD story-wise, really impressed with the story and dialogue so far, probably best I've seen so far. Yeah, I think EOD was one of the high points in terms of storytelling and just general cinematic thing. I think Living World Season 4 is somewhat close to it. Depends who you ask what is higher up, but I think EOD storyline and just in general how the flow of the story was I think, a lot of people's favorite. Yeah. A median armor stability provider would be awesome. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it could be Engineer, to be honest. It could be Engineer that provides that. 1 second. Let's go with the stability setup. Let's go. Nice priest deck. I forgot to put my gravity wheel back on. That's okay. It's not necessary. I'm looking forward to Paragon. Hope it gives some modification to Warrior Spear skills. I think Paragon, if I'm blunt here, I think Paragon will be a crazy support warrior spec because we don't have any support elite spec for warrior that gives you some traits that are actually worth taking. It's really like the traits for your elite specs for making support Spellbreaker or support what's it called? Not Spellbreaker, support Berserker or Bladezone. Those two, there are not really any traits that actually provide value to you. It's just really the profession mechanic that is the value and tactics that heals. So I think it's highly likely that we get a support spec with Paragon. So maybe the spear will be in there, maybe not, we will see. But I think it's quite likely that it will be a support spec. And I think also Ritualist will also be some kind of minion master spec for Necromancer. Some kind of spirits that you summon, they will be maybe stationary, something like that. But there will definitely be some kind of spirit summons. I think that's what people like to have. Welcome, Loopy. Welcome, welcome. I'm doing good. Hope you're doing good as well. It was a little bit too late. I'm sorry. My favorite part of story is King Choco. I mean, that's what a lot of people say. You know, praise King Choco or something. You know, that's what people say all the time. You know, and that's for a reason. I would say he's a really cool villain, and I'm sad that we didn't get it a little bit longer. Maybe we get Spear Shield. I think it's quite like, my prediction here is that we get a new very interesting profession mechanic, but as we don't get any new weapons for the elite specs, that is confirmed. They confirmed it in a blog post. I think a lot of people expected, for example, they wanted a rival for Ranger. They wanted to get a new weapon for Elementalists and stuff. This is not gonna happen. So we get a very crazy designed new elite spec that will maybe replace some kind of new weapon in terms of, for example, you get in, maybe, I could imagine that Elementalist or Engineer get some kind of form transform, so like Holo Forge, like Celestial Avatar, something like that. I can see that happening. But that is just my prediction here. I don't see it like that it will be absolutely insane in terms of it will be feeling like a new weapon. I think most spec will get a new spec without the feeling of a new weapon, which is okay because we got 2.5 new weapons with the last few expansions. So with the last 2 expansions. So I think that's still a very worthwhile consideration because you have so many weapons already. So I think having a full elite spec is okay without a new weapon. I hope there's a few specs that have shout abilities like Reaper spec and Holo. Yeah, exactly. I think, I'm not sure if we get a few, but I think we get at least one. I would be very surprised if we don't get any of those because that's very like feeling like a weapon, and people that wanted to have a weapon, for example, Elementalist or Engineer that don't have crazy amounts of weapon, I think having some kind of spec like that feels like a very logical choice to make some kind of replacement for a weapon. Yeah. And before Elementalists can finally use only one single element but swap weapons, I actually, that would be very crazy, and I think that would be amazing just for content, like to build craft and stuff. I don't see that happening though, because that would be requiring some major reworks to how you play the trade lines and stuff. I don't really see that happening a lot of the times, but maybe they can make it work. I don't know. They put a lot of effort in. They even had to delay the latest expansion, so I'm not sure how much like overcooked the new elite specs are or how crazy good they are. We will see. We have to wait. Hopefully we get something on the announcement on 15th of July. Hopefully we get something there. But right now I have no clue how crazy and how like unique they will be. Ritualist Shroud. Yeah, that is interesting. I think Ritualist is to me very, very interesting. How would a Shroud for Necromancer Ritualist look like? Because that's something that is like, obviously, Necromancer gets some kind of Shroud. Because it's a Necromancer. It has to have some Shroud because that's the core profession mechanic. But how will the Shroud look like as a Ritualist? That's very interesting, I agree. Maybe you will lose the Shroud like a Scourge. Maybe you will get a specific Shroud like the Reaper. I don't know. I really don't know. Will be very interesting. I really hope they do those live streams again where we know, for example, that there will be like this elite spec or like 3 at a time, that we get some nice just preview of all the skills, they showcase it, hype us up, stuff like that. That would be amazing. Hopefully we get that. And I hope we should get it a little bit sooner than later so that we have some more time to be hyped up. Because if they now say this will be an expansion coming in October and then they wait 2 months with new announcements, I think that would be a little bit sad because then the hype dies down. They have to keep it up. I'm hyped, which is dangerous, but I can't deny it. Hopium is a powerful drug. Yeah, especially if the whole community is hyped up, 100%. Yeah. Just like in PoE, you can have dogshit builds, but you have an option to play them if you're a hipster. Yeah, that's always a good thing. Having different things. Yeah. Different builds is always a good thing. So, did I do the nice priest deck? Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. Very good. I'm very excited for the Kinfall Fractal. I'm always hyped for that one because I don't even know why. I think the end boss is just one of the best. Did I get? No, I did not. I was wondering if I was the bomb guy, but I didn't. That's good. Thanks, by the way, for all the follows. Really appreciate it. They're not gonna make something unplayable. Yeah, I think it's quite unlikely that we get something that is like absolute crazy. So I think it's probably quite cool new elite specs coming. I don't see them. To be honest, one of the things that were the most consistent about in the whole lifespan of Guild Wars 2 is making good elite specs. I think there is no elite spec in the game that I would consider being somewhat bad. I think all of them are really, really well, in terms of just design. They might not be the most interesting. Some of them, for example, Catalyst a lot of people don't like Catalyst because it's like just one more button, yes. But in terms of how they feel and how well they are executed, how good they are and how well they are working with the core spec, I think all of them are actually quite good. Shroud Susanoo from Naruto that will hover above you like in a blog post picture. That would be very interesting. That would actually be a very cool new like idea how to make that work. I would like that, but you never know. They have always some crazy ideas, you know. Coming up with something like Greatsword on Mesmer, that are those same guys. So I actually expect them to be like absolutely cooking some crazy stuff. 100%. Oh no, it's me again. So Kinfall is amazing, yes. Yeah, I think that the community is actually quite split about Kinfall. Well, it's a really big surprise to me. I think Kinfall Fractal, yes, it might not be the absolute best Fractal. Yeah, that is like, I would say most people would agree with that. But I would say Kinfall Fractal is one of the more fun Fractals because it's quite fast. The end boss is quite fun, even though it might not have the most unique like look, but the gameplay is quite fun. And what can I say? I think the Kinfall Fractal is definitely the best in the last 3 and is, in my opinion, an A-tier Fractal. It might not be S-tier yet, but it's an A-tier Fractal. And the CM is quite fun as well. So, yeah, I like it. Hopefully, Enid will have a graceful solution for the hero points. I agree. The hero points is something that is a lot of people are concerned about that. And I'm not sure how they will actually do it because we did not get any expansion yet that had elite specs while also having less maps than 4. Remember that. All the old, like Heart of Thorns, Path of Fire, End of Dragons, they had at least 4 core new specs or maps, so you could easily fully unlock the hero points. With only 2 maps, and we didn't even get the confirmation that there will be 2 maps, it is not completely clear to me how they want to make that happen. Doesn't mean it will be bad, not at all actually. I think it might be probably quite well executed and well done. It's just probably a little bit different than usual. A single attunement but weapon swap elementalist is legit something I would main. Sounds very interesting. I'm not sure if I would main it because I like to have different elements, but I think it sounds very interesting and could make the class completely different than before, 100%, and I think that's a good thing. That's what we want. We want to have elite specs that are feeling new and fresh and very interesting to play. The boss is good, the linear path is a bit boring. Yeah, I agree. The linear path and just the general that you can't skip the things, I think that's a little bit boring. But in the end, I think for me, that the end boss is actually good and fun to play and it's not too sluggish, the whole fractal. I think that is good enough for me. That's why I would put it in A tier in terms of how I rate this Kinfall fractal. It is not S tier yet because the first part is not good enough in that sense. Not like Nightmare Fractal, where every single bit of it is actually really, really fun and there's nothing that is like sluggish. But I think having an A tier fractal instead of Lonely Tower or instead of Silent Surf, I mean, I take that every day. Especially because I take every fractal every day. You know, having more fractals is always better than having no fractals with a release. Maybe you need 100% map completion to unlock the elite specs since you get so many extras. Maybe, but the problem is, what I always think about that is people could buy the new expansion without having any other expansion. So they want to get the elite specs and they will not have any access to any of the big hero points in Heart of Thorns, Path of Fire or Hand of Dragons. So they only have access to the new expansion areas. And if there are not enough of the big ones, you actually need the full map completion. Yeah, and I think that's not what you want. You don't want to force players to get the full map completion to actually get access to the elite spec that was the selling point of the new expansion. So I actually don't see that happening. I think they probably want to get you some, maybe they give extreme amounts of hero points. Maybe you unlock them differently. Maybe you have some kind of quest that you can do. I don't know. We will see. We will see. I let you understand why that's an issue though. Don't change weapons. Just allow me to swap weapons and invest into a single element. I don't know. I really don't know what they want to do. I think Elementalist will stick with four elements. I think that's just the most likely scenario. I don't really see them changing stuff that is so core like that, because that would be like saying Necromancer doesn't get any shroud mechanic. And then you have to make a lot of trades being completely like crazy. So what, for example, if you only attune to fire attunement, what would do your water attunement trades would be, so if you say when swapping to water, cleanse a condition, when swapping to water, heal your allies. If you only can attune to fire attunement and have no water attunement, when does this trade proc? Is it completely useless and you lose the complete value of it? That sounds weird to me. So I'm not sure. I think that is not very likely, but I don't know. Maybe they can make it work. Soto just gave you weapons for progressing the story. They could do something similar for elite specs. Yeah, that's true. They could do that. 100. I would say you never know what they come up with, and it might not be the best solution that they come up with, but I would be extremely surprised if they haven't thought about that. So I really see that there will be a solution, and there might be only a small fraction that only gets the core game and has the new expansion, but there will be a solution for those players. But most players are in a similar situation than myself that have like over 400 of those hero points in a character. So you have like, no, I will unlock it first thing if that's not bound to something else. That could also be true, that they want you to explore the new maps and not have anything other than that. Could also be. As a new player, just put a lot of hero points in the first 2 locations of the expansion. Yeah, that could be also working. There's so many ways how to do it. I would not say any of those are bad, just if it works, good enough for me. And obviously I'm not someone that is actually affected by it, but still. in either case, I want them to have a solution for that problem. Welcome to the game, Altmar. What class are you playing? Yeah, I think welcome to the game to everyone that is here in chat and is new to the game. I always have very high hopes for you and that you stick around and if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm always happy to answer them as well. And of course, join our Discord server or guild as well if you want. We have really helpful people there and we always have some nice discussion going on for help for anyone that has some questions. I think Elementalist gets an easier spec, would be a good thing, but single element sounds very boring, especially when Inferno builds do decent damage while camping fire anyway. Yeah, that is true. The Inferno build is already somewhat like the single attunement build. And I think they actually didn't, like, they nerfed it a bit, but they did not like make it completely unplayable. So I think they're actually happy with having that. And that makes sense to me if they have another spec planned that is a little bit different than having just a single attunement. So I think that will probably be staying around the Inferno build. Can't decide on the main. I like Elementalist, Engineer, and Necro. Oh, they are all good. They are all good. I think go for the one that you enjoy the fantasy of the most. Don't listen to people telling you, oh, Elementalist is way too hard. Don't blame Elementalist. That is not true. Play the class that you enjoy. All builds have easy builds. Some builds might be a little bit harder, but all of them are working. All elite specs have something that works in all game modes. Just stick to one that you enjoy. That's the really most important part I can give you as someone that plays all classes. This is what keeps you playing the game, is that you enjoy a class, not that it's absolutely broken. I will catch up on chat after a second. I don't want to die here because this is like very, very prone to dying me here when I read chat while jumping and dodging those balls here, you know. Did happen before, so I yeah. But what about a single Revenant legend you can slot in from all legends? That would be very interesting. So you would only have one legend, but you would have the, so to say, ability like all the other classes to switch in all your possible utility skills. That would be very interesting. I'm not sure how that would fit into the lore of the Revenant, because you will get some kind of new trade line. And if you have a new trade line, what would be the lore of that trade line? I don't know. I'm not a lore guy, but I think they always have some idea behind that. Maybe they can make that work, but I really think there will be some kind of like vampire demon because of the icon. I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, but maybe you have some crazy cook that actually could also work as well. Would at least make support Revenants way more viable in PvE if that would be the case, because then you could go for healing, stability, and some kind of deflect. But how would you manage the energy then? I think that would also be a little bit interesting. There are many things to consider if you make some drastic changes like that, not only for Revenant, but also for Elementalist, for example, or Necromancer with the Shroud. Every class has a simple build? Yeah, exactly. Call me library ref using multiple legends. I think people expected some kind of Revenant Dervish. I think people see that happening so that we actually get some kind of God elite spec that summons the gods that could be working for Revenant, because you channeled some Dervish or something that could be there. I personally have a hard time imagining how that would work out, but some people say that could happen. Yeah. I like all the specs of Elementalist with Staff Spear and Enchi Holosmith with Spear. I guess I'm fan of big AoE, ranged and melee. I mean, that sounds like typical Elementalist. Elementalist has a lot of AoE and a lot of burst damage. Engineer, Necromancer have both of them, but yeah, I mean, all three of those can fill the roles. That's the cool part. We have so many weapons now that we can easily fill all the slots on all classes, actually. Energy would be weird. Yeah, exactly. If the Thief isn't the cards, I will be so disappointed. I actually expected quite highly. Let me hydrate. I'm actually like, what can I say? We can, after the Fractal run, we can actually check it out again. But I'm like quite sure to be honest, quite sure, not 100% quite sure, that Thief will get the cards. I think the cards are just very, very fitting to Thief. I did not see anything else that is like very fitting to Thief, with the exception of the dagger. And the dagger itself, I have to be honest, the dagger is so feeling like a ritualist dagger that I just, you know, that's just too fitting. It's just too perfect. So that's just my prediction. I love that in Guild Wars 2 you don't care if you have a squad of 10 chronos, you still can clear everything, so you can play whatever you want. You are always welcome to use a decent build. Yeah, exactly. And that's really cool. That's really, really nice, and I think a lot of new players don't expect that. That's why they always ask, oh, what's the best build and stuff? No, go for the one that you enjoy. You will actually have fun with it. That's really good. That's the good part about Guild Wars 2. At least in PvE that is the case. Of course in PvP and World vs. World it might be a little bit more strict because you're fighting other players, then it's a little bit harder to get the perfect thing, but yeah. Yeah, some Revenant Legends are underused, 100%, but I'm not sure if they will fix it because of the new Elite spec. I actually expect the new Elite spec being more support heavy than others in terms of healing support. I think the healing support output of Revenant is on some Legends a little bit lackluster. You can play all three of those as healers, but the legends and stuff are a little bit like feeling weird, or the trade lines in that regard, so I'm not sure how much they actually want to put effort into that. We will see. Maybe it's full aggressive, no support in there. I think that's probably the more likely scenario, because at the same time we have all elite specs can provide alacrity or quickness in the game already. So Vindicator gives alacrity, Herald gives quickness, and Renegade gives alacrity as well. So I think the new spec probably doesn't provide any boon like that, because that would be insane just having 4 specs that provide boons. But you never know. You never know. Hot take, cards are for Guardian. 3 different cards for 3 different virtues. Could be. But I think that what would be the fit to that? I think Guardian is for me getting Monk. I think Monk is so feeling like a Guardian. I'm not really sure which class would get Monk other than Guardian if we get a Monk. So I highly expect that to be the case, that we get a... Oh, that was close. Almost got away with our light. But I think the cards are for Thief. But I can see it. I can see it for Guardian. I can see it, but I personally don't expect it, to be honest. Cards with random buffs, bit like Combat Real with World of Warcraft. Yeah, exactly. Something like that. See this? Ooh. Assassin Thief just seems such a boring guess to me personally. What would set it apart from the Race Thief? Exactly. I think it's not very likely, to be honest. The dagger goes to Ritualist, and I expect the Thief getting the cards because of that, so that it will be something unique, something new, because Deadeye and to some extent Daredevil feel already like some kind of assassin. Spectre maybe not so much, but all the other 2 feel like some kind of assassin already. So I'm not really 100% sure why people would want to have an assassin. I think the role can be easily filled already. So, but who knows? I think Guardian and Rev haven't shown been yet. I think with Guardian I agree. With Revenant I would say those thorny things, those shield looking like thing, those teeth, claws, whatever. This is the Revenant one. But like I said, after the fractals we can take a look at my predictive list. Okay, so we do the CC cheese, so I have to bring a lot of healing. Okay, there we go. Let's go. I like this fractal. I have to concentrate a bit, but just that we don't die here. What? How did I get knocked? What? How did I not get knocked up there? No deaths? Very good. So... Oh, I don't have a Boon Corrupt. Nice, we have someone that does it. Very good, very good. I think that's Ranger. maybe. I think Ranger, the one that like looks like a Kitsune, that could easily be Ranger, to be honest. Those fox masks, I think that could be Ranger. It's very, the vibes of it are very Rangery, even though I don't know how it will be called, if it's a Warden, if it's like a, maybe even a Dervish, I don't even know. I just think it looks very likely to be a Ranger to me. But maybe I'm just too like limited in my brain power to see anything different. The sharp one is a pineapple with a legendary fruit stance. I like that, but I don't see that, to be honest. I will say I'm more excited for this mini expansion than I ever was for the others. Yeah, totally. I think that this expansion is for me by far the most exciting one, by far. Because I got elite specs, I get something that I can like work towards. And like having new builds and not having only like a new map that is like semi-relevant to me as someone that actually plays a lot of instance content and is not really playing like open world 24/7. So elite specs will be good for everyone, I would say, because everyone gets new elite spec for their class that they play. So in the end, everyone will be happy, I think. So it's a really good investment of them, I would say. My biggest wish for is that it's just that elite spec skin is a fox mask. I think I could see that happen. I saw some people actually saying that this might actually be for Guardian and it will be some kind of Kitsune Guardian. Maybe. I will not exclude anything because I have no clue what they actually cooked up. So I'm just saying, for me, it is not... No, we lost someone. No title for you guys. Luckily, I already got it. So far, the only criticism of the game I have is that they locked weapons behind the story in the expansion. Yeah, that was a weird choice, to be honest. I mean, they always want you to play the story to get to the new map and to get the stuff done. I get that, but I get that people want to play the new weapons directly, and that's why it feels a little bit weird, I agree. But I think there are worse things than having to play one story step. All in all, I just want to gamble, so the card spec is for me. That sounds then perfect. I think it doesn't matter which kind of class it will be. I think it will be some kind of gambling spec. I really expect that to be the case. Not gonna lie, if there's RNG mechanics in the kit of the card spec, I would hate that. I think we don't have any spec yet that has some crazy RNG in the kit itself. So I actually think it will be cards, but it will be deterministic. I don't see it being absolute RNG that you, for example, get a crit damage buffing card, for example, and you pull that out of a set of 3, and you could be unlucky and not pull it in 10 tries. I think that is, I don't see that happening because that is hard to balance and is also very unfun to play or play against. So I don't see that, to be honest. I'm with you there. Yeah, you can get it with World vs. World as well, but of course, if you're a new player, you will probably go for the story and not the World vs. World version. Yeah. The elite 20% to insta-kill your target, 18% to kill yourself. I don't see something like that. That would be like very fun as some kind of April joke, but I don't see it, to be honest, in like 90% of the cases, because they never will do anything that has RNG. They did not do that in the last like elite specs ever. There is nothing in there that is RNG based, and I think that will be the same for the new one. I really don't see it. Let's go. Takes a bit of time, but you can play the story in order. Yeah, I think the story is like not too much of a grind. I think Guild Wars 2 story, you have to play some of it to actually get to the new maps and that kind of stuff. But I think for the most part, especially the newer storylines, they are like a big like slug. They take forever because of the talking. It feels like it, but in total, there is not too much story that you need to actually play and to get the most important things unlocked. We're getting Commando Ranger, Sully. I think some kind of tactician, strategist, commando. I think I could see something like that, yeah. Like I'm not sure if Ranger will get that or which class will get that, but I can definitely see something like that happening. I'm not sure which icon that would be or if we didn't get it yet, but in either case, I would be excited for it. Wayfinder, exactly. I mean, I have to be honest. I did not listen to like the story at all. I played the story, and for me it was like the story was something in the background. I was mainly talking to chat. I was streaming the whole time of all Chanta Wild story, and I was talking to chat. I did not listen to a single second of the story, and I got all of the achievements. I was like, it was just in the background, something that I did. So I can't tell you if the story was good or not. I'm just not excited or really into engaging with that. It's just, I'm a gameplay guy. They should have stayed with the Heart of Thorns format of keeping the story short, but have the environment do most of the storytelling. Yeah, I mean, I think the bigger expansions had better storytelling either way. So I think hopefully this time they recognized it and said, okay, with the next expansion, we have to focus on the story being more like interesting and not more down to the ground and not so like world-ending threats. And we can't tell that in our limited story time. So hopefully they did that. But I have to be honest, the blog post that they told us was actually telling us, yes, we recognize that. But did they really change stuff? Maybe, because in the first update after the balance patch or after the release of the lead specs, with the release of the expansion, we will get no story, no new map, no only core feature updates. Is that something good? We will see. But that's at least something that they changed. Is Herald a buffer that can be a straight up healer? Yes. It can be. It's not the best healer, but it can. Yes. And bring back Timey and Rox and Brahim. Those are actually good characters, unlike the newer ones. That is quite a hot take, I would say. Not all people would actually agree to that. But I don't care. I really don't care about the characters in the story. Like I said, I'm not a story guy, so I'm just happy if the story community is happy. That's like the thing that matters to me. What Ainit needs to do is send me into the mists. I'm not sure. I think they did it once, you know, we were in the mists as in PUF story, so I'm not sure if they will do it again, to be honest. Some story instances are way too long. Yeah, I agree. They feel just very long and unnecessarily so. That's the problem. I think if you want to have story, it should be optional. You should skip the dialogue. There should be a skip dialogue button, rather. That's what I wanted to say. So if I don't like the story, or I don't need to listen to it, there should be a button that I can press and say, skip this dialogue, and I want to get to the gameplay. That this is not in the game, it's really some kind of punch in the face, because that just means I have to play like 2 hours, even longer, of story to get to a specific thing that I want to actually play. That feels just bad to me, very bad to me. Yeah, they yoinked us back. That is true. That is true. We are not in the mists anymore. I would pay gems to permanently kill Timey and Graham. Good one. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think the community is quite split about those. I don't care. Either way, I don't care. Story is mid in my opinion, but I really like female Asura voice actor and whole Asura vibe. Yeah, I think also the community is quite split on Asura. Some people really like Asura, some people hate them. I think it's okay either way. I don't mind it either way. Yeah. Let's go. Welcome, Kobe. Welcome. I was just watching a video about spending karma on gold. I'm a newish player with 80k karma. Should I just be holding tight onto that for now? Yeah, I would say if you're a new player, that was like I mentioned it in the video briefly, but I did not mention it like all the time. But karma is a resource that in Guild Wars 2 you get by almost doing everything. Everything gives you a little bit of karma. But because of that, almost anything that you need karma for, like legendaries typically, need a lot of karma. So if you're a new player, you might struggle having karma in the beginning if you didn't play like 1k hours already. And if you spend it to get a little bit of gold, which is a resource that you get from almost everything as well, and you can't get karma any other way than just farming it yourself because it's account bound, you will have a harder time farming karma than farming gold. So in my opinion, I would as a new player always save the karma and keep it, because you might land in a spot where you actually want to craft a legendary and you need the karma for it. I can tell you I have all the legendaries and that stuff, so I have a lot of stuff to spend my karma on, and I have a lot of karma. I have like 36 million karma or something, even though I have all the legendaries. So I can spend it on gold, but even if I have spent all my money on the karma, the conversion rates are so bad that the gold that I get out of that is just a few hundred. It's not like insane. So yeah, I would say better save it, and you can always transform it if you don't need it. Yeah. So for looking into Ascended, don't worry about karma, use it for more legendary building. Yes, that's what I would say. Get to the prisons, yes. How many times did I listen to that one? It's crazy. No problem, always happy to help. If you have any questions, let me know. We are always happy to help here in chat, in Discord, in our guild, or just under the YouTube comments, of course. Pulling you back, yes. As a Lalafell main in Final Fantasy XIV, I will now step on your toes. I have to be honest, I actually don't... I think Asura, I have played them quite a lot in World vs. World, because I think they are quite fun. But I can see why people don't like them. I think sometimes they feel a little bit snobby in the story and stuff, so... But they have some funny voice comments, so that's also quite good. You know, listening to a human female shouting all the time when you get swiftness, I'm faster than a centaur or something, or I can outrun a centaur or something like that. I mean, come on, I just want to play different things and not always get the same voice acting. Like, so yeah, I play all the races, so yeah, that's just my take. Yeah, Sylvari are the best race, let's be real here. I think Sylvari are really cool, they are very unique, not a lot of other classes have games have that. Yeah. Asura are bad? Yeah, I mean they have some bad storyline in the background for sure. But that doesn't mean your Asura has that. Yeah. I've been following along, very good content so far from what I've seen from you. Nice, very good. That's what we like to hear. For me, Heart of Thorns and Path of Fire, the story started to get quite interesting. Main plot is average, nothing special, but interaction between characters makes it fun for me. But yeah, some moments are dragged. Yeah, I think the core game story is not like insane, but as soon as you get to the Heart of Thorns story, and especially Living World Season 3 and 4, the story gets actually quite good. At least for Guild Wars 2, like, standards. It is not as good as Final Fantasy, that much is for sure, but that doesn't make it, like, very bad. I would say even someone as me that doesn't enjoy story for the most part, it is okay. I just, for the most part, I want to get to the gameplay. Do we get a skip? Oh my god, Snowdrop did it. Good job. Crazy. Good job. My favorite part about Guild Wars lore is that humans are actually aliens. Yeah, I think there is so much deep Guild Wars lore. That's really cool because of Guild Wars 1, because of like the whole general like crazy depth of what Guild Wars lore has to offer, but I think the story instances itself in Guild Wars 2, there are a few exceptions that are really, really good, but most of them are just like not crazy deep. Yeah, some exceptions, don't get me wrong, some of them are extremely good. I just remember the Cormier's Library quest, that was crazy good. Back in Path of Fire, or Living World Season 4, yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, Final Fantasy XIV also has not that good story parts, sure, but I think overall it's definitely a higher level than Guild Wars 2 story, which is okay. Not every game has to have everything perfect. Welcome, Mr. Broken One. Welcome, welcome. I was wondering if there's a good time for gems to gold conversion, because now it seems that it's not worth it. It depends if there is something coming up. So, for example, if there's a new skin release like the swimsuits, then sometimes it's a good time to convert the gems into gold, or the other way around. You always have to look and check it out. There is a website, or multiple websites that you can check that out. Guild Wars 2 Wiki has a link to all of those. If you go to gems, of the gem page in the wiki, you can see how they are actually. Efficiency, for example, is one of the websites where you see the graph, if it's currently at a low or at a high, and you can actually like market analyze that. But I can't tell you if it's going up or back down. I can't tell you because I don't know the future, sadly. Also, hey, Hate how Guild Wars 2 accent sounds like modern American accent. Doesn't sound like a typical immersion fantasy world at all. I have not actually noticed that, to be honest, but I'm also not into story, you know, so. But I can see that. The latest expansion broke me mentally. I could actually not even get through the story. Yeah, it was quite slow. It was quite slow, that's true. Yeah, the end of Icebrood Saga was bad, but the beginning was really good. I like the really like the crazy, cold voice in your head of Chomek. That was nice. I liked the beginning. Prices are good now to buy gems with gold. Yeah, then that's a good comment there. I don't know if someone actually has the information there and checked it. Then I guess that's a good point then. They should update those long fractals like this and the hammer one. I had carrying the hammer from side to side. I think they are just a little bit like, they feel like, oh, outdated at this point. So I really hope they actually provide us with some reworks to those, not necessarily make them harder or something, just make them a little bit like more streamlined, that it doesn't feel like that much of a, I don't know, just waiting time. But I'm not sure if they want to go back to those. Sorry, my voice is dying. Yeah. Yeah, I think there are so many good parts in the story in Guild Wars 2 and also the maps in older things that the newer ones look a little bit sad, because not all of the new maps, for example Mistborn Barrens and the other one Baronivos, they don't feel like the same. That's the sad part. They are not as good as other older maps in terms of story, but also in terms of content. That's just a fact, and I'm a little bit sad about that. But hopefully the next expansion brings in some new stuff there. It does feel weird coming into well-established guilds, as it's like joining a new school and trying to learn the dynamics you fit in. That is true, but don't worry too much. You know, all people are quite nice with a few exceptions, so just ask and be friendly and have fun together, and you will probably have a good time after a while, especially when everyone is like accepting you. It just takes a while. But I would say the community is so friendly and welcoming for the most players, in most parts, that you will have a very easy time just finding groups of like-minded people. That's the very good thing about Guild Wars 2, is that there are so many helpful and friendly people around. I'm playing World vs. World and doing post Shadowbringers MSQ at the same time now, because otherwise it gets a little boring. Fair. So where do we need to go? Is there? Just who is not nice and avoid him? Yeah, of course. If if that works, sure. Or is it the first time I don't have to carry something? That's crazy. So nice, our group. Very good. No, maybe not. But I did it. Very good. Didn't see the second portal. Very good. Good job, everyone. Nice. Yeah, I think the community in Guild Wars 2 is very friendly for the most part. Of course, there are some bad apples, but I think you shouldn't judge the community by the bad apples. More like by the most amount of players that are around. At least that's my take. They are so fast, I can't even get behind. I'm lacking behind. Yeah, I think the Icebrood Saga maps are actually... I think the maps itself, Biora Marches, Grofma Valley, I think they are really good. I think the Dragon Storm, I think this is not a very good instance for the most part. I do it a lot of times because it's very rewarding and it's not too bad in terms of gameplay. But in terms of story or how it's designed, I think it's not the best. It's just an ending to a way too fast ending. That's just the truth here. Just make sure to turn off map chat in World vs. World. So much toxicity there. Yeah, I mean, the competitive modes have some toxicity, but I think in PvE you will be way safer. And of course, competitive modes are always, in all games, have some kind of toxicity. It's just the nature of competitive modes. That's sadly true, but that happens. If you can ignore it, then it's actually, even there, it's fine. They did say they will keep doing CMs, LCMs, so there's hope. Yeah, but they did not specifically mention if they will add new raids, strike missions, or fractals. So I think they did not do that because they will only add one of those, and they didn't want to mention that yet. So I think we will get challenge modes and legendary challenge modes, but we will only get it for one type of content. So maybe convergences, maybe fractals, maybe raids. I personally don't expect it to be raids because I think the raids are not played by that many people. But either way, I'm happy that they continue doing multiple challenge modes and not like only one hard mode and one easy mode, because that's for most people too little in terms of difficulty spread. But we will see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do everything for fractals, raids, and strikes, and even convergences, but I really don't think so. Champions made me quit the game for 3 years. Yeah, that's sad. But at least now you're back, I hope. That's good. Yeah, no worries. I'm happy to catch you as well, Alhada. always happy to catch you, my dear viewers. I think it was 2 misses heal quality of life updates, like marks on ground so entire team can see. Is the heal range or for boons any visual aspect? I think it's only on druid healing skills or staff healing that have a circle to see the range. I mean, I have a range here as well, so look at this. Here's a white circle around me as well, where I apply my boons around it. But you are right, of course, there are some, but there is always crazy visual clutter in games that are as old as Guild Wars 2. So it's always quite hard to find a way to make it like better, while also making it like not over the top in terms of how much telegraphs you see. So for me, it's good enough because I actually I'm accustomed to seeing stuff like that and I know the ranges and stuff, but I can definitely see why a new player would struggle with that 100%. So that was the last fractal. Now we can take a look at the... Very good. Maybe they will merge raids or fractals. They will merge it. That's what they said. They will not raids and fractals, but raids and strike missions. They will combine those. So I'm not sure if they will do fractals, continued fractals, or if they will say, no, we only do raids and stuff like that. I really don't know. We will see. So I don't think I've ever seen you do metas on stream. You definitely are an instant content jar. No, actually not. Maybe you were not around, but I think last 2 streams on Wednesday and Tuesday I actually did like full meta trains, or half meta trains, I would say, on stream. It's just, sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. It's just not like something that I do every day. So if you didn't see it yet, that doesn't mean that I didn't do it. I actually did it on Tuesday and Wednesday, Winslow. Yeah. Dragon response mission, LCM incoming? I hope not. I think they were not the biggest fans' favorite thing. They did a great job with visual clutter in Wing 8. Everything is quite easy to see. Yeah, I mean, it depends who you ask. I think visual clutter for me is not... I can see why it's a problem, but I'm so accustomed to it, I don't really care that much anymore. So now you see, I have a stack of those boxes I can show you. I actually have way more than a stack. I will clean my inventory and then I will open the boxes for you. And you can actually see how much money I get out of this. It's typically around 100 gold per stack. Not too bad. So there's that, I guess. Just open every fractal loot that I get. And salvage and clean up. And then we can open the fractal boxes. And then sell the loot. Just a classical healing of my inventory, so to say, cleaning it up so that it doesn't look as bad anymore. So 1 second. Okay, then I will forge my rings. So always infuse your rings, or not infuse, attune rather. So that costs around like 25 silver or something like that per ring, and you will get more money out of that if you salvage it then. So on average, you get more money out of that if you attune them first. Just a small tip if you didn't know that. And gives you some gold back. There we go. This one I can salvage as well. And now I can open the boxes. So getting my stack of keys, there we go. Then I consume them all. I have a full stack of those. And then I can open them. So I will get now roughly 100 gold and just some other random materials and stuff. Yeah, I think I agree that a lot of people that are very hardcore in the game in Guild Wars 2 are a lot of in their own bubble in instance content and stuff. That is true, but that doesn't mean I don't engage with open world content. You know, if I have this title, you know, I have all the legendary ruin skins. What is the most important thing to grind those? Open world. So I did a lot of open world to get this title. I did a lot of open world before, so there is a lot of stuff that I did in open world. But yes, I do not do it all the time on stream, because sometimes I feel it's like too boring to watch, or sometimes it's like you do it all the time as well. So it depends a bit. I want to make different types of content, because after all, I play every type of Guild Wars 2 content. So sometimes I just want to showcase all types of content as well. So we have here now, you can see quite a bit of loot. This is a skin that I can sell. Nice. And now we have a lot of trophies that I got here. That is just some random stuff, like these things that are all worth something. And I go to a vendor, open the selling thing, and you can see I have 9433. If I click sell chunk, which is all of that, I will have now 9558. So it give me like 120 gold or something. So that's a little bit over average, but that's good. So nice, good gold. I wish raids are daily cooldown and not weekend. Yeah, I agree. I think it should be daily, and it should, or at least it should be, some part of it should be daily. That's 100% sure that this would improve the like replayability and the engagement of the community with raids. Hopefully they will do it with the upgrades. Hopefully. Yeah, exactly. Like daily strike with raids, or just making raids so that you don't get the chance of ascended drops and you don't get the magnetite shards, but you get like, I don't know, 50 silver per raid boss that you kill or something. That would be, and that's like once per day for every raid boss. That would be like incentivized enough to maybe go for a raid boss. Maybe it should be more, maybe I don't know. I'm not a like economist that can tell you how that works out the best, but I definitely see it. Yeah. No flaming allowed in my community, in my chat. I don't flame people. I say when they do something wrong, but I don't flame them because of it. That's not nice. Okay, so I wanted to quickly analyze what we got. Give me a second. Not this one. There we go. This one. There we go. This is the one. Hi. So I wanted to talk, because you asked earlier what kind of icons we already have and which ones I would rate together, because we had that earlier and I really wanted to mention that here as well. So let's talk about it once more. Dark Summer, yeah. No Dark Summer allowed. Always happy and friendly, positive vibes. Yes. So I think the Paragon one is already guaranteed to be the warrior. You know, this is like guaranteed to be the case. And I think this is the icon. This is the icon for me for it. I'm pretty sure. I think no one would disagree with that one. And I would say it will be a support spec. It will be some kind of warrior supports. And I'm agreeing with you. Snowbleach. I think the most likely scenario for the raids in future is that they will split off all raid encounters into single boss strike missions, and they will include them together. So you can select, for example, Gorseval without having done Veil Guardian before. I think that will be the most likely scenario. Yeah. Thanks for the kind words, Snowdrop. Yeah, push is always like, push is exciting. So stay tuned for my push, like crazy streams where I push in the push game mode. That will be chaotic and very entertaining. Early August, tune in for that one. Yeah, so I don't think Snowbleach, you're right there. I think it will not be all Revenant. I think that would be a bad thing, because there are not a lot of players playing Revenant overall, and only giving them elite specs seems not as like a smart choice. So I think we get one for each. That much is pretty much confirmed. I think the Paragon one is like 99% like this one. It's so close to Warrior, it's just very fitting. I think this will be a support one. That's just, I think this will be a supportive spec that you can play as DPS, but it will be more as a support. That's my idea. I know it's a meme, I know. I hope they add Portal to engage with the new spec. That would be to Engineer. That would be interesting. I think, to be honest, Engineer for me is this one. Right now, this is my take. I don't know. We will get in a few hours, I guess. We get the next one. Maybe it changes it, but I think Engineer could be easily something of gravity manipulation, some kind of metal manipulation. I can see that one. What it will be, how it will be called, no clue. And what the mechanic will be, no clue. But I can see that 100%. And then, of course, I think this is the Ritual Dagger for the Ritualist. That is also my prediction here. I think the Ritualist will have some kind of spirit summons. I'm not sure if they will be stationary or if some of them can move, maybe with a trade interaction, and how the Shroud will look like. I have no idea about that. But I think the spirits or some kind of minion army that you can raise is guaranteed to be there. I really think that will happen. Yeah, Susano Ritualist, why not? Why not? Yeah. So I think that is like, for me, the prediction. Those like icons could be, I think this one and this one is almost guaranteed, like 99%. This one is just my guess. Could be going to others as well. But then we have from the Bard, and the Bard for me, or the Minstrel, that could be to Ranger or could be to Mesmer. Those are like, for me, the highest chances of getting it. But as we already have this one, which could also go to Ranger, which is those fox head masked thingy. And I think that fits very well to Ranger. Yes, it could go to Elementalist because it looks like a little bit like a flame, or even Guardian. But I think for me, this means that Mesmer gets the loot and Ranger gets this mask. This is my prediction. And then it could be the Warden or something like that. Yeah, I think Minstrel on Ranger doesn't make too much sense if you already have the Druid. That's a good point. I think Ranger could be some kind of even Shaman that you can, for example, go into some kind of pet form. Not like the Soul Beast pet form, but yet that you become the pet, that you really transform physically into a bear or a Kitsune or whatever. I really don't know. So I think that could be like, maybe this is the Warden. Yeah, maybe this is the name that we get, just because it's like people wanted something like that. Why not? That would be like very interesting. Yeah, it could be the Fox, could also be for Thief, but the thing is, I really think this is for Thief. I really think so. I think this might be like the Gambler or something like that. And this feels like this is the thing that gives cards and uses steals tricks, you know, that's all trickery that's already in the trade line. So that makes a lot of sense that this is the spec for Thief. I really think that what mechanic it would be, no clue. I think it will not be RNG based though. I don't see that, to be honest. What spec are you the most excited about? I will give you my answer to that when I know all the icons, but right now I'm probably the most excited one for the Revenant, to be honest. I think the Revenant will be very exciting because the Revenant one, I think this one with the teeth is reminding me of some kind of vampire for Revenant. Some demon form that sucks blood or something. Why not? That sounds very fitting. But it could easily be some kind of claws, some shields, some thorns, some flower. I saw everything, so it could fit to Ranger. It could fit to a lot of other classes, but I think this is Revenant for me. This is my prediction. Could be a Shrine Guardian, yeah? This one. Yeah, I agree. The symbols on the cards are little like initiative diamonds, so obviously Thief. But we had that, I think, before as well. I think some other elite spec had that as well. I think Mirage or something, that people said, oh, this looks like initiative. I think a diamond is just a very common symbol, but I agree it looks a little bit like initiative, so that is another point why this might be Thief, yeah. I was surprised when I saw your video on support Berserker. I had no idea that Berserker can be support, but I've tried it and it's not bad. I mean, Mesmer is still good. God tier? Yeah, it's true. I think Berserker is a very good support, but I really think that Paragon will be even better. Yeah. Yeah, I think Gambler could be like Twisted Fate in League of Legends. Sure, could be. It could also be like Astrologist from Final Fantasy, but I think Final Fantasy's Astrologist fits more to Mesmer. That's why I would say if this loot goes to Ranger, Astrologist might be Mesmer. I think Astrologist is something that fits very well to Mesmer. I don't know why, it just feels like it, in my opinion. But I think this is my prediction for now, that it will look like this. What the names are, I don't know. I think Guardian could get a Monk, because that's something that, if you look at the names, they are very clear to how Guild Wars 1's names were. but minstrel, yeah. So, but I don't know. It could be something completely different. I don't see any icon fit into Guardian perfectly yet, so we will see. I hope the Revenant Legend is a proper evil edgy one. We only have one on Malex as well. Yeah, I actually think so. I actually predict that, to be honest. Yeah, I think the Untamed nerfs is actually a little bit sad. I agree with you, Rising Reap. I agree. As they are reclaiming all specs from Guild Wars 1, what we could we expect from Guardian? Willbender? I think it's already the Monk. Is it? I think Monk feels more, maybe, yeah, maybe. But I feel like Monk feels a little bit more like support focus, but you could easily also have some kind of Paladin here. You know, we don't have any kind of Paladin in Guild Wars 2, or Priest even, you know, something like that. Why not have some kind of Priest that is like really like focusing on some kind of, or even the Dervish, you know, maybe Dervish could also go to Guardian. There's so many ways to interpret how Guardian feels as a light warrior. Why not? Dervish would probably be ref, that is true, but I think the icon doesn't fit a Dervish, at least in my opinion. But it could be the Dervish, and then this icon could be someone else. We really don't know. That could be anyone. That could also be Guardian. Why not? You know, it looks like a little bit like a shield. Why not? But I don't know. I really don't. New spec for Elementals could be some sort of summoner. Yeah, I think a lot of people expect some kind of summoner. That it's summoner for Elementalist. And to be honest, because of the flame and the look of that, that could be some kind of flame summoner. Why not? Then this is like, could be like that. And this could be really then the Ranger. And because of that, we could also get the Dervish for Revenant. Could be. Could be. We don't know. Yeah. The thing is, Yusuf, we don't get any new weapons with the elite specs. The new elite specs will be standalone trade lines and utility skills. They will not bring any new weapons. So the icons here will not tell you what kind of weapon you get, because there will be no weapon. So yes, Necromancer can already use the dagger, but it's a ritual dagger here in the icon. And because you will get the ritualist as Necromancer, it's such a fitting, like, it's so clear to me that this is the ritualist, to be honest. But maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe it's an assassin dagger. Could be. Yeah, exactly. I think the new weapons would be a mistake to add new weapons. And I think new elite specs are more overall, more value, at least in my opinion. They are way more interesting to build craft around than just a weapon. Fantasy 14 Summoner would be good. No more semi-permanent summons. Clean up my screen in it. I have to be honest. I'm not sure if Elementalist needs a summoner, because we already have in the core kit, we have the elemental summons. So I'm not sure if this elemental summons will be stacking on top and then you have more minions running around than a minion monster. So I'm not sure if that's healthy, but I actually predict more of an Arcanist. I think that tapping more in the 5th element, something like that, I think this is what I predict way more. The engineer one, I can't give any name. That's the only one where I don't have any clue how I would name it. Could be anything. If it's manipulating gravity, if it's like some kind of metal thing, I really don't know. Could be anything. An archer elite spec? Yeah, but what kind of thing would fit to that? You know, if that's then Revenant, maybe we get some kind of archer or hunter or something like that. For Ranger, then that would be probably some kind of bow or some kind of arrow symbol there. But we don't have that yet, so I'm not sure if we will get that. Will be interesting. Welcome, Moody Blues. Welcome. ANET shouldn't add new weapons, but rather do what Soto did and give new weapon options from existing ones. In the future, they might do that, but right now they did not like confirm anything, so I don't see that happening at the moment, to be honest. Might be, but right now we don't have any more information on that. So I would say in the next expansion, if there is another one after this one, we might get another round of lead specs, or we will get another round of weapons. We don't know. But for now, I will only talk about this expansion. I don't know what comes after. Maybe they will tell us there will not be another expansion after that one. Could also be the case. Yeah, they already said they won't add weapons. Yeah, but that is true. They will not add weapons, but they could make other weapons viable. That could happen. So we will see. Yeah, the elemental summons are a bit scuffed, I agree. They are really weird. You have to use them multiple times to stack up on those, because they linger around for sometimes longer, and it's really weird, yeah. But I think a summoner for Elementalist without fixing this core summon thing looks like already like a really weird thing. You don't want to have an Elementalist running around with 10 summons. If you do it correctly, and if you do it wrong, or if something dies, you have 2 summons. I think that's way too hard to balance. I don't see that happening. But maybe. I thought they meant completely new weapons like Spear. No, I think they in general don't want to add new weapons for the game. I think Elementalist or Engineer have more spots for them left, but look at Guardian, look at Warrior, look at even Necromancer. They have so many spots already filled. I think they just have problems to find a niche for new weapons. So that's why they don't add new ones. Buy all the music theme skins as trading posts before it's too late. I'm not sure if that's actually affecting it too much, you know, because most people that are role playing, they already have those skins, and I would say there is a lot of supply of those skins typically. But maybe it's a good advice. Shapeshifter for Ranger, you know what Druid should have been? Yeah, exactly. If that's the case, if it's not a Hunter, or then it could easily be some kind of Shaman that can then transform into some kind of other form. I'm not sure how many other forms or if it's just one form, but that would be really cool. I think a lot of people would like that. But I'm not sure which icon that would be. It could be this one then, because it looks like some kind of teeth, maybe, or claws. That could also fit to it. Yeah, I agree. But we don't know. This is just like, I'm like educated guessing what we will get here, and also the names. I think tonight we will get another one, and on Monday the last one, and on Monday I will give you my final prediction how the names will be and the icons will turn out. Thanks for the follows, appreciate it, by the way. Yeah, but this is just my analysis of the situation. I think there are many ways to interpret it. I think the only 2 ones that are like pretty sure is Ritualist and Paragon, but I think without more information, I think I can't really say this is guaranteed to be the Elementalist, this is the Ranger. I think there could be like, you couldn't mix it around like you want. How would they make Bard a thing without adding a loot weapon or anything themed? I think on Mesmer it's not too bad, because you could make your F1, F2, F3, F4 skill some kind of song. Just like they did with Virtuoso, they are called blade songs. Why not make them real melodies or something like that? And they would, if you press them, affect how you, for example, the next attack applies quickness to your allies or something like that. So they would affect the gameplay by making you make sounds depending on what F skill you pressed. I think something like that. You don't need to add a flute, but you have a good point. I think Minstrel or Bard could easily get some kind of transform like Celestial Avatar or Holoforge, where you enter and then can play a melody, get some buffs, and then you have to drop out after a while. So some kind of special weapon swap. That could also be, and then you could easily have a loot in there. That's the same for the Dervish. The Dervish could add some kind of form, like a Reaper Shroud, where you get access to a site, because that was the Dervish's weapon. So why not have that as some kind of special form where you can periodically go in? Why not? Sounds like, yeah, it's fun to speculate, 100%. But of course, nothing is guaranteed. Yeah, exactly. You can press them in rapid succession, and it gives different effects. And I think that if you played League of Legends, I think I imagined some kind of Bard Minstrel like Sona. You know, the support female character there that uses notes to support in different ways. I think that would work really well as a Minstrel Bard for Mesmer as well in Guild Wars 2. That you alter your supporting style depending on what notes you play. I think that makes a lot of sense. What makes me wonder is they say no new weapons, new specs will be designed with the new very OP build, with the open build crafting system in mind. The card icon poems mentioned traps, making me think the spec will get trap type skills. Thief already has trap skills, Mesmer's don't. But to be honest, you know, traps, what kind of spec would, you know, how would you name this spec? So that's my question. If this really goes to Mesmer, yeah, and it will get traps because that's your whole assumption there, what name would you give it? What doesn't make sense that you give a lead spec cards and traps And then what would be the name for Mesmer? I actually come up blank. I don't have any idea what it would be called. So Trickster? Yeah, maybe. But is Trickster not something that is like already, like Thief has the trickery trait line, you know, and has like steal? So a Trickster on a Mesmer, is that not something that you steal from another class more? I don't know. It feels not correct to me, to be honest. But maybe you're right. I don't know. I hope Guardian News back as Beauty as Firebrand on skills and have both power and condi options. That would be really cool. I agree. Maybe it's more from then. Angle of a magic trick. That is true, you know, they stole it. Why not? Why not? I think I would really like to have the cards back on Mesmer. I'm just thinking that it fits so well to Thief that I'm not sure if it will get that. Especially because the Minstrel and Bard fit very well to Mesmer as well. It could easily go to Ranger as well, the Bard. But I'm not sure if people would like that, to be honest. Yeah, it's true. It could be some kind of magic trick, more focused toward the magic and not to the like street stealing trickery. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, there are many ways to interpret that, for sure. I think the only sure thing that I would say, or not sure, but very close to sure, is that Guardians thing icon I don't see yet. I think you could make arguments for multiple ones, but I think Guardians one, I don't see it. I don't see it right now. And I also would say if Revenant really gets the Dervish, I don't see any icon fitting to Dervish as well. So I really think that maybe we will get the Vampire as a Revenant spec, and then this would be like here. Then the Shaman is still open or something. There are so many ways. You could also make that the argument that this is Ranger and then Elementalist is still open. I think Guardian is the only one where I can say I'm pretty sure this is not there yet. But you never know. You never know. Maybe they have some crazy cooks and we will get the Bard as, or the Bard as a Guardian spec. You really don't know. Could be anything. I don't mind being wrong with predictions or expectations given how Ainit is with their creativity. Exactly. I think that's actually really cool. Because if I would see the icons and I would say, oh, this is clear this class, this is clear this class, then in the end I will not have a lot of fun speculating about and being hyped about it. At least not as much as I have right now. Because right now I'm like, I have two classes that I would say are pretty much confirmed. The other classes I have no clue about and I'm still excited for Tuesday. So I'm always like happy about that. Bard could be Thief, yeah, true, could be as well. But they could just switch, you know, Bard get the Thief and the card one goes to Mesmer. Yeah, could be. I don't think it's more likely than this one though. The orb currently linked with Engie could represent the movements of a dervish dancing, slicing. Ooh, okay. That's a good idea. I like the idea. But it's really like, it could be a lot of things, to be honest. This could be, people said this could be a dancer as well. And if it's a dancer, then maybe even like, I don't even know at this point anymore, to be honest. It could be, yeah, I can see that, yeah. I want to be wrong about some of them. That's part of the fun. Yeah, I mean, if you could predict everything perfectly, it would be boring. If there would be some crazy changes that we didn't see coming, some unexpected things, that's good. That's what we like. We don't want to have everything perfectly predictable. Yeah, it doesn't look like a Revenant icon. I think it feels not so Revenant-y. But I also think, for example, this one feels very much like a Ranger. So if I had to really say this is my prediction, I would say like this. I really think this is what I would really say. It's not like guaranteed, of course, but this is what I would predict right now. I have a bet going on the Guard spec being Monk. Yeah, I think Guard could be very well Monk. But people mentioned in chat before that the Monk is already somewhat close to Willbender. So could be easily not the Monk as well. But I think Monk makes a lot of sense. Yeah, ref icons are angular and sharp, which is why I think the teeth are for the Revenant. That is true. That is a good point, actually. They are way more fitting to Revenant than, for example, this one. This is way too roundish. But with the roundish one, this one is really hard. I think this is the hardest one by far. I can't predict anything about it. Could be Elementalist. It could be, actually, this could be any class in a vacuum. If you don't have any other icons, you could make arguments for this being any class, to be honest. I would actually see that. I wonder how they handle Dervish anyway, if it's even real. Sight is their signature weapon. Yeah, I think my prediction is for Dervish, if it's not Revenant that gets Dervish, I think it will be some kind of form like the Reaper Shroud that you can get into to get the sight out. So that you don't have a skin specific for the sight, but you can actually use it as a Celestial Avatar or something. That is my prediction, if they would add Dervish. I think they might actually struggle with the lore of the Dervish, and that's why they say, nah, let's not put Dervish in at all. I think that's my most likely prediction at this point, because I don't see any elite spec like perfectly being tied to a Dervish, or a class rather. I don't see that. Which ones are you hyped up the most about? I think the card spec is really fun to me if it's well included. But I'm not the biggest, like, my main class would never be a Thief. I think Thief is for me like a fun spec that I play occasionally, but I would never main it and only play Thief. So I'm not sure if I'm really hyped about the cards or if I'm hyped about the whole thing. I think I'm probably the most hyped about the Revenant one, because it could fill niches and it could be really interesting in terms of some kind of aggressive blood stealing, life stealing thing. I think that could be really interesting. But of course, as a Mesmer fan, I think also Mesmer could be interesting. I have so many, I don't want to nail it down to one specific one, because what can I say? I am content creator, I want to play all the builds, want to make all the interesting ideas and cooks. So I just want to try them all. I'm hyped about all of them. But if I had to choose one of them, it would probably be Revenant right now. But we will see. I think it's the reason they moved Paragon to Warrior, given that the Guardian PvP title is already Champion Paragon. That is, I would say, hard to say, because there are already some weird things going on with that. Isn't that like, isn't the Revenant one Champion Ritualist or something like that? Or isn't that the Revenant one? Isn't that something like that? So it's really weird. Most of those new icons are screaming support gameplay, don't you agree? Can we speculate that they want to rework the heal support aspect of the game? I don't see that happening, to be honest. The full rework of the support thing, I don't see that. But I agree. This could be supportive, this could be supportive, this could be supportive, this is supportive. So yes, I agree. There are actually quite a lot of support specs in there. But I think they will not be only supports. There will be also damaging abilities and stuff on there. I think it's just they want to fill niches, for example, for Paragon as a trade line that supports support. Sorry for the weird saying here, but it should increase the support amount that you can get from your elite spec trades, because currently Berserker and Bladezone don't really have a lot of trades that support the allies. So that is probably the most likely thing. Hi, I've been trying to get into engineering, but it seems hard to get into. I've noticed that a lot of builds include at least one toolkit, sometimes even up to 3. Is having a toolkit really that important? You could easily swap the toolkits out for some skills that are just one button press and then you use it, but you will lose DPS. So engineering in PvE is always a lot of button presses if you want to get to the highest number, with the exception of Power Rival Mechanist. Be sure to give that one a try. I have a video guide on my YouTube channel. It's really good. Just type !builds and you will find it there in the spreadsheet. It's really good. It doesn't use that many kits or no kits at all. But maybe because Dervish also works best with Revenant. Yeah, I think, to be honest, the titles in PvP, they are just an old relic of the past. I'm not sure if they actually take that into consideration at this point anymore. I really don't see that. But maybe, I don't know. They have so many ideas. Maybe they come up with something new. Maybe they even changed titles. Maybe. I think Lady Mossen is the legend for Rev. The new Malek's voice lines show him referring to the painting lady. This is very interesting. Yeah, very interesting. I'm not sure if Paragon will be bad. I think all elite specs will probably be quite overpowered when they release. That's the classical way how it goes, and they slightly nerf it down. So they actually have a selling point for elite specs, and they will nerf it down to make the balance somewhat fair again. Thanks for the follow. The Revenant one is giving me Flame Legion vibes. A gauntlet wielding flame. Interesting. Maybe it's some kind of burning-oriented Revenant spec. Why not? Could be, yeah, could be. Could also be like some kind of burning-oriented Guardian spec. Why not? If it's really a flame, there are many ways to interpret that icon. But I think it's too open. It doesn't provide any more crazy ideas why to say this is guaranteed Revenant or guaranteed Guardian. I don't see it. They can't release specs and have them suck? Exactly. I think that would be the worst thing possible. All of those specs have to be really good. Maybe not in all game modes, but they have to be so good that people say, I mean, I have to buy this expansion. I get new builds to play and they are so good. I have to get them. You know, if someone else plays against me with a ritualist, I can't beat them. I have to get it myself. So yes, definitely they have to be really good. But I think they will hopefully not go as much overboard as, for example, with Path of Fire, where you had like DPS builds having 80k DPS because they have completely like underestimated how you can optimize the rotation. So I think they should have better balancing this time, but it will probably be still pretty OP at the beginning, which is okay because that's fun after all. Would be way worse if they would be completely like not good and just a new build that no one plays because it's bad. So I'm actually all for it. Yeah. I don't know, Scorpion, how much a full homestead costs. I actually have no idea. It's quite expensive and I have no interest in doing so. I'm not a homestead enjoyer. I think it's a nice feature for people that like that, but I have no really interest in doing that. Yeah. Yeah, I think they did a lot of weird balancing when it comes to Guild Wars 1, but I think in Guild Wars 2, it's like the general direction. If I would to have like, if I would have to say, let's give me a second. So here you should see it. Yeah. So the general direction of how ArenaNet balances is like, this is 2012, yeah? So in 2012, we had the base game. This was where the base game started in the balancing. Then we had a long time, no real balancing until Heart of Thorns came out, yeah? Heart of Thorns came out and we had a pretty big power spike when Heart of Thorns came out. And they did not really nerf too much back then. So it's like some crazy steep climb and then it stays like that. But then over the course of the years, they added, with Path of Fire especially, a big power spike again. Sorry for my weird drawing, I can't write with a mouse. So over the course of time, we get another big spike and then they started to balance it back down. This was like, over the course of time, they nerfed it back down. So the power level, if you compare to Heart of Thorns launch or just core game launch, it was definitely like way higher. And over the course of the time, they nerfed it back down. And then at some point, EOD came out. Yeah, EOD came out and it was another big power spike because we had like Mechanist being absolutely broken as a healer. We had like Willbender being like insane when they buffed it after that. We had insane damage numbers of Bladezone and stuff, or PvP was, you couldn't kill a Bladezone in a 1v2. That it was like insane. It was really crazy. And they nerfed it back down again. So we had this like really crazy, like, yeah, periodic, oscillating behavior. And that continues to be like that because we had that with Soto as well. Soto gave us the new weapons and weapons in all classes or all lead specs. Again, another big power spike because you could now use, for example, the pistol from Harbinger on a Scourge, big power spike. Scourge was really broken back then. They nerfed it back down. The same was with Chanteviles with the spear. And I expect it to continue like that, but they always nerf it back down to a point that is higher than the previous expansion. That's the thing. That's why we have a power creep. Yeah. Do you think we'll get a better event? Yes, I think we will get a better event. I don't know anything. They haven't confirmed it yet, but I think we will get a better event. Probably, I would say sooner than later. I actually expect that because if they want to have a better event, they want to have the time to change stuff. So I actually expected that we get the live streams if we get live streams, I hope that we get them pretty much quite soon. So I hope that we get them in July, maybe August, some live streams of showcasing the lead specs. And then in late August, beginning of September, I hope we get a better event for the lead specs so that they have like one and a half months to fix what is broken and get the elite specs out with a really clean slate. I really hope so. Are there any niches currently that are missing in Guild Wars 2? I mean, it depends. I would say no class has any big niches that are like left, but you could always make the argument there are some fantasies left uncovered. There are some just general gameplay things that are not covered or need some help. So I think it depends who you're asked. I think in general in PvE, all classes can fill all roles, but some are better at it than others. So I think you could easily fit them, the elite specs back in, because you don't get a new weapon, so they can just fill a different kind of spot. I think that's good. For example, I highly expect if we get a boon on the Ranger spec, I think it will be very likely to be Alacrity, because currently we don't have the option to play an Alacrity DPS Druid. That doesn't exist, and I think they will definitely give, if Alacrity is the boon, or if a support spec is coming with the Ranger one, I think it's very likely to be Alacrity, because it then can be played as some kind of offensive Alacrity support. Yeah. I can't wait for Thief to do 70k DPS in the beta and be barely playable when the expansion releases. Yeah, could happen. Welcome, chill, welcome. What do you think on them not adding new weapons with the new elite specs? I'm happy about that. That might be a hot take, but I think that is a really good thing to do. I think new weapons have two problems for me. First of all, they will not fill niches in for the most part anymore, because the niches are already filled. So if you, for example, want to have a crazy AoE power-based weapon for Mesmer, you already have Spear. So how can you compete against Spear? Only if you are better than Spear. Then you would replace Spear, and Spear would be unplayable. I don't want that. I want a playstyle where I want to have a weapon that is useful in some situations and another weapon that is useful in another situation. I don't want to have 3 weapons filling the same situational role, but only one of them is the best because it's the most damage. So I really hope that they don't introduce more weapons because of that. I think the weapons are already like saturated. There is no more space, design space left for most classes, with the exception of Elementalist, Engineer, and maybe Thief. Those are like the classes that have some design space left. Even Warrior, even though it has so many weapons, I think it has some design space left. But a lot of other classes, especially Ranger, Guardian, and Necromancer and Mesmer, those 4 are like so saturated they don't have any new weapon spaces left. So I'm happy with that. Is Weaver the only elite spec who has no Alacrity quickness? That's not true. You have actually, we can put that here in actually. We have Virtuoso, has no Alacrity quickness, for sharing, that is. You can provide it for yourself, but you can't share it. Then you have Reaper, you have Dragon Hunter, you have Daredevil, you have Spellbreaker, you have Holosmith, you have Soul Beast, and you have Weaver. So all classes except Revenant has at least one elite spec that can't provide boons for its party. Or Alacrity and quickness, that is. Yeah. Thanks for the follows, really appreciate it. Yeah. I would like a more interesting quickness build from the new Thief spec. I hate Deadeye quickness. Yeah, I think that, to be honest, the cards look very supportive to me. And I think that the cards will have a way to support the allies. And I think because Alacrity Spectre is already being buffed so crazy and pushed so hard, I think the Gambler, or however it will be called, Trickster, that is supporting is providing quickness. Because Alacrity Spectre is such a perfect fit, I think you don't want to compete against that. I think competing against the Deadeye makes way more sense, because you don't have any quickness heal on Thief. And that's just the perfect slot to fill that. But at this point, just predictions, you know, could be anything. But I can definitely see why they would do quickness heal Thief with the card symbol, 100%. Yeah. And I think with this, I will also end today's stream. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks a lot for watching. Be sure to check out my YouTube channel. I have a lot of content coming up, especially, of course, today with the new icon, hopefully coming today, and more stuff coming soon. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a nice day. And yeah, I guess see you around. Have a nice weekend. Take care.